Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to another episode, a special episode
Super
of
special.
the Producer Lounge podcast. Again, this podcast is all about shining the spotlight on some really dope producers. You know what I'm saying? They all happen to be my friends, you know what I'm saying, my homies. This particular episode, I was able to get my brother up in here. Now, I know many of y'all may know him, right? Y'all may know him for his lyrical prowess, his heavy bars. Y'all know him for, Mr. 106 in Park, all that good stuff, you know what I mean? But today we're gonna explore a different side of this brother that you see right here. The production side of this brother. With no further ado, let me introduce my man, my brother, Nickelus F. Make some noise, make some noise, make some noise, bro. Thank you, man.
Yo, man, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate the intro, man. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about this aspect of my creativity and expression for sure.
Man. So look, we're gonna talk pretty much, like I said, it's gonna be focused in on you as the producer. You know what I'm saying? Like, and one of the things that I've always appreciated about you as a producer and just your music in general is that it's a complete thought. You like many other, producer rappers, when we think about Kanye, when we think about Cole, when we think about even when Dre would, get his thing off, you know what I'm saying? It's just like you ultimately know that producers that can rap are creating and delivering a full picture. So one, I just want to say thank you for delivering that type of artwork, and taking the production route as serious as you take your lyricism.
Yeah, for sure. You know, that's part of the reason why I said I'm glad that we get to talk about this, because I do take the production very, very serious, just as much, if not more so, than the actual rapping aspect of everything. And that's because, like, if you're gonna paint a picture, for one, you gotta have a great canvas.
That's a fact.
And a canvas that's gonna stand the test of time.
That's a
Right.
fact.
So, like, you know, I like to chisel my words in the stone, right? So I gotta chisel great cinder blocks. You know what I'm saying?
Facts,
So
facts.
you know what I'm saying, to put these long verses on. So yeah, it's definitely an important thing for me. And then also, kind of like leaning on that, what you were talking about with completing the thought.
Yeah.
It's exactly that, right? Because before I even go to make a beat, most times I know the feel or emotion I'm trying to convey. I might not have the words, I might not have the hook, none of that yet, but I just know what I feel,
Right.
and what my attitude is like.
Right.
Whatever, if I'm in a good mood, if I'm in a stank mood, if I got chip on my shoulder, I'll go and first make something that brings that emotion out even more, and then I'm able to write on it. So
Nah, that's dope. So I mean, when and how would you say it's like you started production? Like, was it, what did you like, were you writing first and then we're like, okay, well, boom, let me get into making beats, or was it vice versa?
Yeah, nah, the rhyme came first. The rhyme came first for sure. But the way that, all right, so let me get this burp out real quick.
Solid one.
Yes, yeah. Shout out to the lagers.
To the whole garden.
Yeah, what is this? This a pilsner, it's a lager.
This is a nice
it's a nice spirit of some sort.
It's a nice spirit.
It's a nice spirit of some sort.
Keep your hoes in your garden, yo.
Yeah, that's a fact. So for me, it started, like I said, the rhyme came first, but like the production came shortly thereafter. And it might be surprising to some people who kind of like followed my career, and when I started producing my own records all the way through was way in 2013, 2012, 2011, when I dropped Vices. right? But it the actual art of production started for me back in like 7th grade. This is at the same time I taught myself how to record, right? Now at that time, I didn't have any programs. I didn't have any because I didn't even have a computer at the time, right?
Right.
Aging myself, but you know, we did eventually get a computer by like I think like 8th grade or something. It was slow dial up, you know, there wasn't no programs on there. And you know, I didn't have any 4-track recorders or anything. At this point, I'm in like 7th grade, right? So what I did have though, I had access to Casio keyboard, small, cheap one my mom had bought, you know, trying to learn how to play piano. She ended up putting it down, leaving it under her bed, not returning to it. I pulled it out and, you know, when I was able to hit the keys, I was able to hear that certain keys sounded good. I just kind of like took to it.
Right.
And at the time, I also had this boombox, this stereo, the Iowa stereos. So it was like a 2-deck cassette. You had deck A, deck B. You had the CD player on top. You had the speakers that were hooked together with wires, but you could like unhook them, put them on different sides of your room. You know what I'm saying? So I had that. And you know, at the time, you know, when they were putting music out, they were putting out singles and maxi singles. So you would get the song, you would get the instrumental,
right?
You get a clean version, you might get an acapella, right? So I was, you know, I started initially just kind of like rapping over instrumentals, right? Well, I had wrote all the raps I could to the Hey Lover beat by like LL Cool J. That was one of the first beats I really was like writing to all the time. And one day I'm in my room messing around and I realized that when I plugged the headphone jack into the microphone jack, if you talk into one side of the headphone, it's going to pick up like a microphone. I was like, oh, snap, I got a little microphone, so I can do a karaoke in here, right? But instead of just recording myself on those instrumentals, my little ingenuitive brain just started turning gears, right? So what I ended up doing, this is how I made my first beat. I took a blank cassette tape and I hit record, right? And I took the headphone that was plugged into the microphone jack. I placed it onto the speaker of the keyboard, turned it up as loud as I could get it to go.
Right.
And after I hit record, I played my drum beat out for 2 to 3 minutes. Boom, 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 boom. Right. Did that for 2 minutes. Then I took the tapes and I switched them. And then I recorded the drums from that first tape, dubbed those onto the second tape. And well, before I did that, I switched the instrument on the keyboard, grabbed like my little piano or whatever, switched it, then recorded those drums over to the other tape while playing my little melody, 2 to 3 minutes, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Dun, 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 dun. Something simple, you know what I'm saying? Play my little drum beat out, then I would switch it again. So now on this tape, I got drums and a piano.
Right.
Now I switch it again, switch the instrument, get a little bass line, boom. You know what I'm saying? One key bass note, you know, play my bass. And then now I have drums, keys, a pad bass, of some sort, key, and a bass on this tape. Now it's fuzzy. You can barely hear it. It's been dubbed over 3 times. Now it's time to lay the lyrics. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? Then I switch it and I kick my raps over it. And I was doing that in like 7th grade.
See, that's heavy.
And yeah, so like by 8th grade, I was pretty serious. I thought I was on my way. You know what I'm saying?
Like, yo, it's
that
here.
sort of
It's here. No, but for real, it's funny because Mike did something very similar to that. I guess y'all were having like the same epiphany around about the same time. Like, yo, if I plug this joint into the because he did that and he like took the end of like the attachment piece to the vacuum, and it just so happened that the top of the ear joint fit perfectly on top of that joint. So, but the cord wasn't long enough. So he was basically like laying on his stomach, like rapping over. And I almost feel like he might have been like doing like pause tapes, you know what I'm saying, where he was just kind of like looping it up or something like that, and basically recording himself too. That was
Yeah.
honestly like one of the ways where I was like, dang, yo, this nigga's like dead ass serious about this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's crazy to kind of hear like, yo, how much ingenuity it took to kind of just get that, to get to where, you know, you were like, yo,
Yeah.
like, dang, like, I really want to do it. And that's like I said, when I saw Mike doing it, I was like, dang, he really wants to do this.
Yeah,
Like,
it was crazy. Like I had things in my head, I just wanted to get them out.
right.
I heard melodies, I heard little things. I wanted to make this shit. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't necessarily have the equipment, the tools to do it, but at that age, I just needed to get it out.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so
Now, did you have any like musical experience prior to, or was it just
no,
like,
not prior to. But after I started doing that, when I got in 8th grade, my first semester of 8th grade, I took a piano class.
Right.
And so I learned, you know, a little bit in that class. It was, I only took it for one semester. And then after that, I kind of just like was self-taught.
Right.
But it was kind of like enough to get me started, and I learned how to play green sleeves. You know what I'm saying?
You know, it's funny, like, because I think like that's pretty much how I kind of learned. You know, I didn't take any lessons either. It was just more so messing around on the keyboard, trying to play shit over. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then like you said, like, oh shit, these 3 keys sound really good together.
If you space your fingers apart, you put the space in between each one and go across.
Boom, we got something.
Sound good. Yeah.
And then, you know, it was funny, but I guess it was more so like math to me. It was like, oh yeah, okay, well if you skip every one, or like, you know how they say whole step, half step, or whatever, it's like, oh okay, boom. And then I just really fuck with the black keys too, like, yo, black keys. And then it's like, oh, this is the sound that I want. So it's funny, like, you know, understanding how people kind of, especially producers who don't really have, you know, much of a musical background, how they kind of find their way around it. And I guess that's the beauty of like hip hop too. You know what I'm saying? Because hip hop, it's like, it's not about being, you know, correct in a sense. It's just about feeling good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's about expression, man. And you know, like even so, like in 8th grade, at our church, there was a guy who like made music or whatever, and he brought this drum machine. And at the time, I was rapping like so, like I had to get my raps off in church. Like I had to get them off somehow, some way. So like I'm a children's church getting my raps off. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And one of the older guys there ended up giving me this drum machine. He didn't show me really how to use it. I had to sit there and click around until I figured it out.
Right.
But that is how I learned about 4-bar loops and loop and like bar structure. Like no one had taught me how to count bars or anything like that. But I realized that my patterns had to be in 4s to loop around cleanly with that machine specifically.
Right.
I probably could have set it to 2, set it to 3, 4 times. I didn't know nothing about that.
Right.
But I just knew like when I was playing it, it wasn't looping around right. Because you know, I was stopping short at like 3 bars. I might try to go over. Then I realized, okay, so 4 of these
in this joint,
is okay. So that's how it goes, and that's kind of how I started understanding that. And like everything, I'll say.
Do you remember what drum machine? What the name of that drum machine?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I remember what it looks like. It's a little black machine. But I can't remember the name of it. But like, you know, all along my journey, everything was self-taught. Like, you know, and I know we're talking about production, but even like with the raps, like multi-syllabic rhymes and different rhyme schemes were like internal, external, and all of these different things that like rappers do to show their mastery of the literary arts. Like I picked it all up by hearing it, just listening that intently and listening to every word and memorizing them and re-spitting them. I would realize, okay, so they're rhyming here and here, but this part on the inside rhymes, and the outside rhymes, and then sometimes I'll skip a bar and bring it back. I'm just like, oh, okay, let me try that. You know what I'm saying? And then I would write something like that, and this over time, this constantly picked up, and it's the same thing with production.
Right. So I guess like what was like your first DAW like, and
Mhm.
how did you, what was that like? I guess because again you're learning it all. It's like
Yeah.
I know when I opened up what was it, Hip Hop EJ or Acid, really
Oh,
probably learned
acid, nice.
Acid was what
Yeah.
I learned on, and it was just like okay, because I'm thinking of like how you were talking about how the drum machine, right? You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? It's like I don't really know. I'm just trying to feel my way around. That's how I was kind of with the DAW. So how
Mhm.
was it like? What was your first DAW, and what was that
So,
like first experience like?
to be honest with you, before I jumped to the DAW, I had the 4-track recorder.
Oh,
Had the
okay,
Tascam 4-track
okay.
recorder. So 10th grade in high school, I sold my PlayStation, stopped
Mm,
playing video games
right.
altogether,
It was like it's a rap.
got myself a Yamaha keyboard that I
Mm,
could program beats on.
mm-hmm.
Couldn't sample anything, but it had a nice bank of sounds in there.
Right.
And I got a 4-track recorder for Christmas in 10th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it started for me. It started on that keyboard. And
Mm,
there were a few producers that I went to school with. And we were all like the ones of us who made beats, like we went hard at it. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Right.
And back in high school, I was recording the same way I am now with the same output, like
Mm-hmm.
making tapes, you know what I'm saying, burning copies, listening to them in the car, passing them
Right.
out in school,
Right.
dropping albums.
Right.
Like
Right.
I was
Right.
dead serious. Like, to be honest, you know, that's kind of like how I made my name, made friends,
Mm-hmm.
established my identity when I moved here to the
Right.
city. I moved here in 97,
Right. Right. Right.
ninth grade for me, right after I finished 8th grade in West Virginia. I was in West Virginia for 2.5 years,
Mm-hmm.
from like 6th grade to 8th grade,
Mm-hmm.
right? So 2.5, 3 years. Came to Richmond at the start of ninth grade, and rapping was already my identity. It was already what I knew I wanted to do.
Right.
And I was able to make a name for myself with it because, you know, by the time I'm in 11th grade, or I mean, I'm in ninth grade, even the upperclassmen, a lot of them are just starting to rap. The
Right.
ones
Right.
that do
Right.
rap, they're
Right.
just starting 11th,
Right.
12th grade.
Right.
I had already been writing raps every day since 6th grade. So
Mm.
by the time I'm in ninth grade, I already got 3 to 4 years, you know what I'm saying, under my belt. Like,
Right.
and just like sitting on raps, I'm trying things, I'm picking up on, different stuff. So uh during my like first couple months at school, we had a homecoming game.
Mm-hmm.
And a cipher broke out. There was a bonfire after the football game.
Mm-hmm.
After homecoming game, they had this bonfire. And a lot of the upperclassmen were out there, and a cipher broke out.
Right.
And niggas was rapping, doing their things, and I just came through and blazed it. You know what I'm saying? And it
And
was
this is
because
when you came in ninth grade.
this is ninth
So
grade.
you
Yeah,
ninth
this
grade
is ninth grade. I'm a
going
youngin.
crazy.
I got the little twists in my head with the rubber bands, like the pro with the
right,
rubber
right.
bands, like the
Oh
little
shit.
pinhead joint.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With the bright metallic silver bubble coat. You know what
Oh
I'm saying?
shit. Heavyweight.
Yeah, and I was rapping my heart out, and like I said, I had already had 3.5 years worth of raps under my belt. And so when I came back to school that following Monday, niggas knew who I was.
Right.
Yo, that's Shorty that be rapping. Oh, nah, yo, come here.
Right.
Nah, kick that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Kick that joint you did. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like how I made my name. But with by like 10th grade, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I had the keyboard. I know we gotta get to the DAW. I had the
No,
keyboard.
take your time.
I had the Tascam 4-track recorder, was making tapes, getting them joints, passing them out. I pretty much used that 4-track recorder up until about senior year. And before I ever started recording on my own DAW, we started going to a studio downtown.
Shit. Okay.
I was rapping with JR, Big Nat. Big Nat wasn't on radio yet. He was a rapper,
shit.
Big
I didn't know you was
Natural.
rapping with that.
Yeah.
Okay, shit. I didn't know that.
So they had a group. It was JR, Big Nat, and 5 Mics. And they had a group called LSD, Lost Souls of Destruction.
Oh,
And
shit.
I wanted to be a part of that group.
Right.
So
Okay.
bad. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be the cannabis of that group. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like, I did get to do some songs with them or whatever. I was never like an official member
Right.
of LSD, but I wanted to be like, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? That was cool to me. He had the cool voice, New York.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Had the ill style with him. JR, I always thought was immensely talented.
Oh yeah.
One of my biggest inspirations in
Yeah.
high school. 5 Mics was older, smooth with it, you know what I'm saying? And I was just hungry and wanted to get my shit off.
Right.
So,
Right.
we were putting up money to go to studios that were charging like $100 an hour or something.
Dang.
So this was like the era where we all stand around and they're like, yo, they was jipping us, yo. We record like one take through and like everybody got to get their verse right. If like the first person mess up, say the first person gets to his verse, second person, let's say the first person keeps messing up, right? And has to keep restarting, right? Then he finally lands it. The second person lands it. The third person goes and he messes up, and now we got to redo the whole joint over type shit. You know what I'm saying? So it was.
Yeah, they was getting.
This was yeah. So I'm not sure. I think we might have been recording the DAT or something at the time.
Yeah,
like this is pre-DAW type shit. You know what I'm saying? At least how I remember.
Right.
Now, when I graduated, right after graduation, right around that time, I got my hands on the Cool Edit Pro. And that was my first DAW. Yeah. I got
shout out to Cool
Edit Pro, man. That like I started making beats on there. I was recording on there. And Jay actually learned how to produce on Cool Edit Pro through JR.
Word.
And he had a way to keep everything on time that I thought was genius. So like he would like sample just like one hi-hat from like a break or something, right? And he would highlight it and like stretch it out for a bit. And so it's looping, and that's so you can get the tempo. The further you stretch it out, the slower it gets.
Right.
So he'll loop it up.
Right.
Then he'll just hit copy paste, and do it out for mad long. And so now you got your tempo.
You got your metronome.
Yes, you got your metronome. You get your kick, sample that one kick, line it up. You know what I'm saying?
That shit is
boom,
genius.
Boom, and just line it up with the things.
With the hi-hat.
Snare. And so we were stacking them on each track. It was like, you know what I mean? Like, and we were doing it like that.
That is genius.
Yeah.
See, I used to use Cool Edit Pro, but I used to use it, one, to chop my samples. And this is when I was working with Acid. So when I would, when I was ready to format the beat, I would format my beats in Cool Edit Pro. For the most part, I wouldn't do my formats. I would kind of create the loop, like every section or whatever. Get the stems.
Creating a loop or what?
I would create the loop. Like everything would be done in Acid Pro, but when it came to like formatting it for song mode, I would put everything in, loop it all up within there, add my drops or whatever.
So you started producing on a DAW before, like
I never used hardware.
Really?
Yeah, bro. All I had was a computer at the crib.
Interesting.
I never used hardware. I've always been in the box.
Wow.
Always.
That's awesome. And that's crazy because like we're not that far in age.
Right. No. That's what I'm saying. Like, so I started making beats in 98. 97, 98. Yeah. So all we had in the crib was like a computer. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, of course, I won't about to get an MP.
So how'd you get the program?
My mom gave me like $50. Went to Babbage's. I picked up
Babbage's.
My first DAW was Hip Hop EJ. It was trash, you know what I'm saying? But it showed me like, it gave me the idea of how to use loops. Okay, you use, but of course, it's like, I wanted to do more. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then Illa, he put me on the Acid. And that was like...
Illa put me on the Acid. Sounds crazy.
Yeah, I know. It sounds so crazy. It sounds so crazy. It sounds like I'm a drug addict, but I'm not. But nah, it's like, he put me onto that. And then that kind of opened like the gate, for me. Like, but I never had... Like, the first time I got around hardware like that, I think Stefan. You remember Stefan?
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
rest in peace, Steph.
Yeah.
He dropped off an ASR 10 at the crib. He just let me borrow it. You know what I'm saying, for like mad long. And so I would mess around with the ASR 10 for a little while, but I never
Always wanted one.
I never really could get with it like that. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
I started out in the box, and then once I went to Donland and I got around Art, that's when
Mm.
he had the ASR 10, the
See, that
Triton,
was so the
everything,
ASR 10 was like,
bruh.
so to me that was the GOAT keyboard, because I remember, so when I was 17, like
Mhm.
right after I graduated high school, I had an opportunity to record with Knots.
Mm.
I did 2 songs with him, and for one, he was my favorite producer back then, like
Yeah.
still is, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But like
Shout out to
back
Knots.
then, yeah, big shout out to Knots, man. I definitely want to circle around the block and get some new current music with him.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
he's insane, yo.
Yeah.
But I remember going to his studio, and he had the ASR 10 and was just like just doing the craziest stuff with it. Yo.
Yo.
Like I never owned that keyboard, never knew how to work it, never learned how to work it. Um, but it's always kind of like I looked at it as just like mythical, like a Thor's hammer sort of
Yo.
thing. Like
And it's like it gives you that vibe too. I
Mhm.
wish that this is one of them things where I wish, like, I had exposure to the hardware, bit sooner,
Mhm.
because my mind was already like into the DAW, like, and
Yeah.
just figuring out the DAW. Like, I
I mean,
work
that's
within the
forward
DAW.
thinking though. That's
I
great.
mean,
Like
it makes sense. It makes sense, but I mean, I like I always kind of, when you think about your favorites,
mhm.
and they always be like, yo, ASR 10,
NPC.
NPC,
Yeah. I never
whatever.
learned
You
how
know
to
what I'm
use the
saying?
NPC either.
And
Like
I
took a little learning.
never, and I've had one, but I never learned how to really use it like that. I always fell back into the DAW.
So I had the Triton LE,
Mm-hmm.
and I put in work with that Triton LE. So like well before I started producing records like on Vices, like I have albums of mine from 19, 20 years old, that I produced the whole thing
Mm-hmm.
on a Triton LE or
Mm.
whatever it was I had at the time. There was definitely Triton LE.
Mm-hmm.
But uh sampling then off of vinyl and cassette and CD, um, and still working within the DAW as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I still kind of I still do the same thing now where it's like a mixture of hardware and DAW.
Yeah, your
Um,
setup is crazy though. I mean, and run down your current just setup.
so
How are you operating right now?
so right now, I'm using Logic Pro.
Mm-hmm.
I use the SP404, the
Mm-hmm.
SX. I still want to get the new one, but the SX is just it does great by me.
Right.
Um,
I actually
I
sold
use
the new joint. I had that joint. I sold it.
yeah, I still want to get that joint. I think I want to just on some like on some gearhead shit. I want to get
Mm-hmm.
3 of them. I want to get the different generations of them.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's 4, I believe, but like it's the main 3 that I want. You know
Right,
what I'm
right,
saying?
right, right.
But I use that. Um, for like mixing and stuff, I use the it sounds crazy, the soft tube console. I use the soft tube console one. I want to get the fader joints for that joint.
Right.
And then like, for my textures, man, I don't even know if I should be giving this out to niggas, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it, man. Like I run a lot of my stuff through a cassette, through like put it on the tape,
Mm-hmm.
record it on the tape, and then resample it from there to get them
Mm.
authentic textures,
Mm-hmm.
warmth.
Mm-hmm.
I like, I'm even very choosy about the tapes that I'm using. Like, so I have boxes of just tapes, and some of them are blanks, some
Right.
of them are Maxell blanks, but then some of them are like old tapes from like my parents used to collect uh old like church services, like
Oh shit.
the church we used to go to in Hampton. I can't remember what it was called when I lived in Hampton, Virginia. Uh they used to give out the tapes of the
Mm-hmm.
service after, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
My parents had a big collection of those. I took those out the attic.
It was like,
Started recording my tracks onto those. And since they're old, they're
Right.
warped, they just had that texture to them. So
Yeah.
I'll take a sample, create a loop before I even throw any drums on it. You know what I'm saying? Run it through, record it to an old dusty cassette. You know what I'm saying? Then play that cassette and sample that into the SP. Then run it from the SP to the DAW. You know what I'm saying? Time stretch it, whatever I want to. You know what I'm saying? Then lay the drums, bass, and all of that in the DAW. Then resample that into the SP.
Oof.
You know what I'm saying? Hit the compression on that joint.
Right.
Then once that's good, might run that joint back through the cassette as an entire track.
Right.
Then run the cassette back out to the DAW. You know what I'm saying? And now I mute all the tracks that I used to make it. And now I just got this one textured out track that I've made. And so I run it through a bunch of wires and physical mediums, because I just like, there's something that happens when you print sound to a physical medium.
Right. And then
then take it back. Something happens there. Is a certain sort of magic. And it's not for everybody. It's not for every track. It's not for everything, but it's about knowing when to use it, what's going to sound good on it. Certain drum loops, I'm like, okay, now I'm going to put this on the cassette and then sample it back off. Sometimes it needs to be cleaner. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just kind of like knowing what tools to pull out the toolbox. But yeah, I have a crude setup, but I like it that way. Like I could clean it up, but I like it crude.
That is something that I've always appreciated about your sound. You know what I'm saying? Because you it's like, yo, I'll make some joints and I'll be like, yo, this shit sounds like something F will fuck with. But it'll be like I probably would have, of course, pitched it down, throw some dirt on that shit. You know what I mean? Like, but it's like, to know like your process and how you get that. It's like, yo, it sounds like it. Like I'll make something that I'll be like I said, it sounds like something he would fuck with, but the dirt, and I use dirt in a very loving way.
Yeah.
It's like the way that you do that, it's like, and to hear your process behind it and the level of effort that you put into creating that, it's not something that can just be easily replicated. It's just like, it's like I said, as a producer, you just be like, dang, this feels like something that he might work with, but it's missing this dirt, you know what I'm saying? That is like, that creates this palette that you live in that realm, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, it trips me out, but it's like you said, you do know when it's like, yo, I could tell, like, and I love like listening to your music, because I think working with you on Stretch Marks, and just kind of seeing your process flow, how you write, but also what triggers your ear, even to like how you do your hi-hats, you know what I'm saying? I can always tell like your sound, and it's like, and it's so intentional. It's not like, yo, this is just what he does. It's such an intentional
everything is
thing that he does in order to create this texture, clearly, what you just described. Like, so who would you say is like some of your influences from a production stance?
Man, the greats, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna hold you, like the greats, and I'll give you some specific ones, but kind of like the things about them that why they're inspirational to me. I like melodic things, you know what I'm saying? Or I like things with like dissonance, something that kind of might make you feel a little uncomfortable. It's like it hits a vibration that just makes you feel a certain way. So of course, like I said, I mentioned Knots, Alchemist, RZA, Kanye, Dre, Bink, like, Just Blaze, like, you know, the era, like, those guys. But then, like, for real, there was like so many like doper underground producers that I was rocking with as well. Like, I'll tell you another one who I really rocked with. I don't think people give the love he needs is DJ Scratch, yo.
Yes.
Like, yo, DJ Scratch was crazy. Like, he was the only other person whose like beats would kind of like give me that vibe that Knots would put me into.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't the same thing, but it was like that same underground, just next level though, just rawness that I just like. I just loved that sound between Knots and DJ Scratch. Like, I was heavy on them. Lord Finesse, Buck Wild.
Yeah.
I could keep going. Premiere. You know
but you know, like, you know, I hear a lot of I hear Southern influence in your music.
So
heavy.
I didn't even get to go there.
Yeah, that's
like,
why
like,
that's why I was waiting.
Paul,
yes,
you know what I'm saying?
I was like, there we go. Let me get there. Let me.
DJ Paul, Juicy J,
yeah.
Pimp C, incredible producer. Play all them instruments. You know what I'm saying? You know, the Dungeon Family,
right?
What they were doing. You know, this is the thing about me. I am a head and a connoisseur, and that's like with everything, right? Like, whatever it is that I get into, I get all the way into it,
right?
And I explore within that realm. Like,
do you feel like your travels as like growing up as a military kid, like having that exposure just to different elements and different places and catching that energy from different places? Do you think that?
So, kind of. So, and I had lunch with my mom today. Today is her birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, I took her to lunch, and you know, we were talking. She was kind of asking me questions about music and just like my thoughts of it, like growing up and stuff. And I was explaining to her that what really hooked me with the music, especially rap, was that good rappers are able to take you from wherever you're at and place you in their environment. And through rap, I was able to see, smell, and taste what California was like without ever being there.
Right.
I was able to smell the trash from the rain in New York. I could see the roaches and rats and the decrepit blocks. Like, I could see, smell, and taste all of that through the music, even though I hadn't been there.
Right.
And I was traveling a lot. But like, how I went there was we spent tons of time on the road driving as a family unit. The thing about the military family is a lot of the times we're not around all of our cousins and aunts and uncles. Everybody's like, I come from a military family, so all us niggas is in different places, all around the country. There's Joneses everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, we deep, you know. So, but where I grew up, I never went to school with my cousins, or anything like that. So, all that time that I was spending in the car, I spent reading comic books. I spent reading regular books. I was a heavy reader, and I had a very vivid imagination. And listening to raps. You know what I'm saying? Listening to rap. Like, I knew what Cleveland was like because I knew Bone word for word.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
And all of that. So, DJ Unique.
Yes.
Oh my God. Yo, can we talk about DJ Unique? He's another one that don't nobody be talking about. He's 1999 Eternal.
Yo.
Like, the production on that album is flawless.
Heavy.
The melodicness, it's just heavy inspiration there. But you know, it was for me, it wasn't necessarily moving around military, because like I said, I moved around a lot. Like, you know, born in Portland, Oregon, we were in Washington State for a while. Berlin, Germany, Hampton, Virginia, Charlottesville, Virginia, Beckley, West Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Like, so we were kind of like in the same area, but it's moving all around. You know, so it's not like I lived in New York or I lived in Texas or Atlanta or anywhere. I visited all those places because we have family there. But not enough to like soak up that. So it came through listening to everything, being in the car for hours. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, that's real. And you know what? It's funny because that's that's kind of how we grew up. Like we, military family. You know what I'm saying? We didn't travel with my dad. He would go to wherever he was going to be stationed at. We would, go see him or whatever. But just like you said, like you don't necessarily have you're not going to school with your family, and a lot of people, I feel like, get a lot of inspiration, or they learn their musical taste through being around, their family. So I think when you are, kind of left to your own vices, no pun intended, you know what I mean, to kind of figure out your own sound and kind of learn and kind of explore the world through music, you know what I'm saying? I can understand how, all of these different inspirations can kind of, I guess, shape, your ear, you know what I'm saying?
I'll tell you another thing that really shapes my ear is like gospel music. Like, so my mom listened to a lot of gospel music. My mom is a Bible thumper. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
so like she listened to a lot of gospel music. Your John P. Keys, your Fred Hammond, you know what I'm saying? All of those guys. And they're like, I always gravitated to a certain type of song, with a certain type of feel, and my dad would listen to a lot more secular music. He's the one who put me on the rap. He brought me my first rap albums. You know what I mean? But he would also listen to the Curtis Mayfield,
right,
all of that, and it was all those like we people who were talking in blue, like them slow, painful ballad joints. Those always got me. It was always those minor keys, those like joints that just like make you feel away, not necessarily the happy upbeat joints. That wasn't me. It might be the Scorpio in me. It might be the Winter Baby thing. I'm not necessarily sure, but I always gravitated towards those like things that just kind of like make you feel something. And so even before I started really making production and stuff like that, I used to listen to some of these old 70s records, certain joints, and just be like, there would be like little breaks where the music would just play, and I would like write a little rap to it. You know what I'm saying?
Heavy. Nah, that's and it's funny because you say that because my wife, she listens to a lot of gospel, on Sundays especially. You know what I'm saying? I'll be like, yo, that's not the gospel I be rocking with. I be rocking with like the old, the sampleable stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like
Chicago Mass Choir.
Them joints. You know what I'm saying? I'll be like, yo, I need to hear that.
The gospel albums that like led by Reverend.
Straight up, them joints
with this mass choir, like them joints, and they be like preaching in between the songs.
Straight up,
they hit the breakdown and they talk to you for a bit.
Straight up, but see, people don't be catching them joints. But I feel like we went to an African Methodist Episcopal church, and they sing those types of gospel songs. But I always be listening for like, of course, as a producer, you trying to sample something, like, you know what I'm saying. So it's funny, like the new age gospel, that my wife be playing. I'll be like, man,
see, I don't even listen to no new age gospel. I'll tell you, I did get onto like some gospel rap when I was younger. I used to listen to this group called Grits. Fire, nigga. Listen to me. Grits.
Word. Lecrae?
Fire.
Lecrae before Lecrae?
Well before Lecrae, yo. Lecrae probably grew up listening to Grits. You know what I'm saying? Grits. There was also another gospel rap group. What was them niggas called, yo? It was a group of them. They were deep too. It was like almost like a Wu-Tang, like gospel. And they had this.
I can't.
They had a guy named the Ambassador, who was nasty. But it was whatever group Ambassador was a part of. That was the gospel group. I'm gonna see if I can find it. We keep going, but I'm gonna see if I can find that.
Yeah. Well, why? Like, so I guess I know you've worked. Of course, you do your own music.
The Cross Movement.
Oh, damn!
They were called the Cross.
Man, you
Movement.
found that quick too.
Yeah, the Cross Movement, Ambassador. That was some really fire gospel rap. There's also a gospel rapper named T-Bone back in the day who was fire. Yeah, so
dang, now you putting me
like
on.
yo. I started out as a gospel rapper, to be honest with you. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, because you said that you kind of started out getting it off in church.
I mean, I'll tell you this: like my first raps, yo, 6th grade, 7th grade, like I was listening to Too Short and all of that. So like, like I remember my dad came into my room, right, and heard me rapping one day, and I had mentioned something about my dick or something, right? And I'm like in 6th grade, yo. And my dad is like, yo, son, like, what are you talking about, yo? Like, why are you rapping about your dick? Like, you know what I'm saying? So my mom was like, yo, if you're gonna rap, you need to do gospel rap. You need to rap about the Lord. So I was rapping about the Lord, yo.
Put your dick away, son.
Yeah, yo, you need to praise God, yo. So I started out
like, yo, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but see, yeah, it was funny, yo. I'll never forget that, yo. I remember I was sitting on the floor of my room, yo, rapping. My pops coming like, yo, what did you just say? Like, you rapping about the dick? What are you talking about, yo?
About your dick, son?
You ain't got no pubes yet. Like,
what are you doing?
But that's because what I was hearing. You know what I'm saying?
Right, Too Short.
Yeah, that's what I thought I was hearing.
Shout out to Short Dog.
Yeah, man. Shout out to him. Be legit. But
that's funny.
I started. I was gospel rapping for a while, but I always had like that aggressive sort of punchline sort of style. Was always into that. So like my gospel raps were battle raps. Like I was battling the devil. Like I substituted nigga for demons and
demons,
boom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I was on it like that. And by the time I reached high school, we were more competitive.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was still trying to do the gospel rap, I think, for like 9th and 10th grade. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like started getting my hands dirty, jumped off the porch a bit, raps changed up.
Demons turned to niggas.
Demons turned to niggas, you know what I'm saying? My mom was just like, the boy. What happened to my baby?
To my
you know
baby.
What I'm saying? The world got to me, but as a journey.
So all right, so like when it comes to like working on like production, are you interested in like producing? Because I know, of course, like you produce all your albums. I mean, but are you interested in producing for other people? Like, would you ever be like, yo, let me produce an album for you?
Yeah, I would love to be able to do that eventually. The thing is about like the way my tracks come about, and this is why I think might be a little bit difficult for me producing for somebody. Probably a little bit better now. Is that a lot of times I'll complete the song over just a really rough loop. And then once the song kind of structured and laid out, then I go back and start messing with the beat again over top of the verse and the hook and whatnot. And then when I get the beat stretched out and doing more stuff, then I end up going back and adding bridges or re-recording things, taking parts out. So it's like everything gets made at the same time.
Right.
It's like you're cooking a meal right here in this pot, but over here you got the rice going. You got this going, and then by the end you put it all on the plate and you got what you have. That's kind of like how my songs come about. It's rarely like, all right, I got this beat, I just put it in here, and now I did this beat completely. I've done everything I can do to it, and now I got the verses I'm gonna put on it. It's always like I might just have a sample looped, and that's enough for me to get my emotions out, my thoughts out, and then I'll record that and listen to that loop. I might listen to it for a day or two, then I'll be like, okay, all right, yeah, I think I know what I want to do with this joint, and then I'll open that session back up. You know what I'm saying? Change the drums up or something. You know what I'm saying? Find another section of the sample to add. You know what I mean? And it all just kind of like comes together at the same time. So when it comes to working with other people, in the past, I've sent out the same sort of rough loops that I could write to and create with. And other artists don't necessarily catch the vibe. And I was just like, yo, if you work with this, send me the vocals. I'm gonna send you back something crazy. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of the times, people don't necessarily always catch the vibe. So a lot of the times, if I do end up passing the beat to somebody it's a song that I've had and I've removed my vocals off of, and now it's a complete track.
Right,
Now
right,
let's take
right,
these
right.
verses and use it on something else, and you can have this beat.
Oh.
So that's why it's kind of like hard for me to produce for other people,
Right.
because my process is what I just explained.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I mean, and that makes complete sense. 'Cause, I mean, it's funny because that's kind of how I operate in a sense, you know what I'm saying? But of course, you know, like it's gonna be more to the beat just because that's kind of all I do. That you know, but it's like, you know, you kind of send off a skeleton. And see, essentially, that's what it sounds like.
I mean, we did that with our tape.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like you send off a skeleton. It's like, all right, boom, and then you do your thing, and then you send it back, and it's like, all right, boom, post production.
Yeah,
you know, which is my favorite part of.
So much fun.
You know,
post production is the most fun.
I always tell people, I'm like, look, man, you can miss me with the recording, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like. I feel like when I was living in Hampton, man, and I was recording everybody, that was like the gauntlet. You know what I'm saying? And it burnt me out to a point to where it's just like, yo, I'm good off that. You know what I'm saying?
Engineers are a different breed, yo.
Bro. It's like, yo, I did it as a necessity. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like a definitely wasn't like something that I wanted to ever do long term. It was like, yo, it's a necessity, and but once it got to a point to where I felt like I couldn't create music, like, because I'll be spending my whole week mixing records. You know what I'm saying? Then it was just like, all right, yo, like, nah, this ain't even it for me. Like, I need to make beats. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, but once I kind of removed that out of my process and just got back to focusing on beats, like, yo, post production, it's like my favorite part. Like, yo, like, and to me, that sounds like basically what you're trying to get them to do. Like, yo, and it is like it's like you're kind of like trying to almost persuade them, like, yo, hey, yo, just work with this joint. Just give me back something. And I promise you're gonna fuck.
And you know what I think the problem is for people is that when a rapper, when I pass a rapper a joint like that, they'll compare what they have to my finished product. You know what I'm saying? They'll be like, oh, but I wanted one of those type of joints. Yeah, like, you ain't giving me the heat. You just giving me this. That ain't how your joints be sounding, but it's be like, we got to get there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
my process.
Yeah, we got to get there.
And then see, this is why this podcast is good, because I think people can hear, like, yo, this is the process that he works with. So therefore, when he does send you like a skeleton joint, you know what I mean? At least they can have context around the joint. Like, yo, nigga gonna post produce the fuck out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Cause I'll tell you, yo, like, once I find a sample or a loop or something, like a melody that just works, once it's made, dog, I can hear the final product.
Right.
I already know what it's gonna sound like. I hear it already.
Right.
It might not sound like that right now, but look, it's in there. Like, I know it, and I'm gonna figure out what I gotta do to make that sound that I hear. But that requires a bit of foresight. And I also can't expect somebody to know where my mind is gonna go, because often my mind goes left in surprising places. So yeah, I mean, I get why you know, it might be hard for people to see the vision sometimes, but it's like, yo, you just hold my hand and just walk with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Straight up, though. Straight up.
Lead you to the edge of forever.
And I think that's what producers ultimately kind of have to do. It's like, yo, we out here trying to garner trust. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I need you to trust me on this one. Like, trust me on the fact that, like, yo, the vision that I have for you, and the reason why I sent this to you is because I feel like your voice is the instrument that I need in order to complete it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yo, so just trust me. But like you said, it's like a lot of people don't have the foresight, you know, to be able to be like, all right, and don't have the ability to, like, yo, just lean into some shit. Like, yo, let me just lean into this, whatever this nigga talking about, and trust. You know what I'm saying?
You know, you said a key thing too. Plays a big part in why I make the production decisions I make. You say your voice being the instrument, right? And so that is always my voice is the final instrument for the track.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know,
And you've spent years perfecting that joint too.
yeah, so yes, definitely. And the thing is, I prefer to have my beats are pretty simple. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't do too much. There might be switch ups, but all the switch ups are pretty simple. You know what I'm saying? Like I try to keep my tracks like with space
Mm-hmm.
for me so that my voice can be that final layer on the track,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like sometimes, when if I pass the track to somebody, I think they might be looking for there to be more to it.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes you just gotta realize, hey, this is where I get to be the instrument, the
Right.
human instrument.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
That
That
fills
fills this
in.
out. And then
Yeah.
that also inspires the post-production choices.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Might just be like one of my favorite things to do. We talked about the dirty sound
Mm-hmm.
and that texture, but one of my favorite things to do is take something that's raw, rugged, and dirty, and sing something like pretty melodic and airy on top of it, and
Right. That contrast.
like those juxtapositions is where I love to live. I love to
Mm-hmm.
get a simple, hard as gritty beat and then
Mm-hmm.
like sing my heart out on it,
Yeah,
and then
not
ended up with a rap that goes over some pretty smooth pianos on the way out. And
right.
it's like that contrast.
I call it the like that salted caramel
Yeah,
effect. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's just
salted caramel.
it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause see, for me, I love like having a nice melodic sample and then the drums be extra.
Yes.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, or
You know
vice
what I'm
versa.
saying? Or,
Yeah.
the and just have some jazzy ass drums, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, like that juxtaposition, like, just that difference there to make
Mhm.
it interesting, because I
Yeah.
feel like when people can sit down and listen to a beat or listen to a song and it just kind of does exactly what they expect,
Yeah.
it almost was like boring.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm
And
saying?
there's
It's
a
like,
lot of
oh
that.
man, I kind of felt like you were gonna do that.
Yeah.
And I listened to listened to a beat the other day, that somebody, because I listen to a lot of people's beats,
Mhm.
especially with the producers lounge, and you'll hear beat, and when it does exactly what you think it's going to do,
Mhm.
and you see it from a mile away, you just be like, it's
Yes.
almost borderline like a letdown. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, definitely.
And but it's what that person felt, but it's just like I think for the listener, ear candy, creating those complex situations where people have to make a decision on, like,
Yeah.
do I like this or not?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
What am I listening to?
what am I listening
Yeah.
to? And because I think music is all about making somebody feel something. Like, you
Yeah.
gotta make me feel something. Like, if I feel indifferent,
Mhm.
like,
That
then it's just like
so
whatever.
that was key, man. When I dropped Vices, and so kind of like loop back around to kind of like why I jumped back into producing my own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was there were it was an extended period of time that I wasn't doing my own production.
Mm-hmm.
Started out doing production
Mm-hmm.
young, then through high school I was one of the beat makers and the rappers. I was a rapper
Mm-hmm.
producer in high school. After I won the Source Unsigned Hype and started getting my managers and people started taking me serious, it was always about focus on the raps. We'll get you some grade A production. Boom, boom, boom. So I spent years not making my own tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, then I started making my own stuff around Vices. Oh, hold on. Why did I bring that up? What was it that you just said?
Talking about the juxtaposition and talking about being indifferent when it comes to,
Indifferent.
yeah.
That's why I did Vices the way it was, because I
Mm.
wanted people to feel a way. I felt like, Vices is when I started playing around more with a trap sound and more of a southern
Mm-hmm,
sound.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Before that, it was a lot of boom bap
Right.
and straight up rapping. That's what people knew me for. That's what they liked.
Right.
But at the time, this is earlier on in sort of like the internet era. I kept seeing people saying things like, Nick killed it again, as expected, as usual.
Mm.
And I felt like I wasn't surprising people. I was
Mhm.
doing what was expected of me.
Mhm.
And people, I felt like people were starting to feel indifferent about it. Or,
Mm.
but I wanted people to feel a way.
Right.
They either wanted you to love it or hate it. I
Right.
wanted to
Right.
be polarizing.
Right.
And so I came back out with a whole new sound. I was nasal. I was
Yeah.
southern. My content was more stark,
Mhm.
and I approached it differently because I wanted, like, even God said in the Bible, if you lukewarm, I spit you out. God said, I
Straight up.
spit you out my mouth.
Straight
If you
up.
lukewarm, and
Straight
so
up.
I never wanted to be there. I either want to be hot or cold.
Right.
Either way, I
Right.
either want to freeze your ass to death or I want
Right.
to burn you to a crisp.
Right.
But you got to feel
You gonna feel
something.
something.
And when I started taking those sorts of gambles
Mhm.
and uh working to be more polarizing is when I really started establishing like a cult following and people that were really connecting with me
Right.
because I was taking chances and I wasn't doing what was expected. And I
Mhm.
think it provided excitement for people. And
Mm.
I think even after my break now, I've been away for 5 years and now I'm back active. I'm putting stuff out like um the things that I have that I'm going to be dropping. I think is going to surprise people. It's going to make them feel a way. They
Right.
might have to reassess me. You
Right.
know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Right.
But I like it that way
And I feel like that is, again, I think I want to say reinventing.
all the time.
And maybe that is the right word.
It is
But it's like
recreating.
I think that is like something that is a beautiful thing to watch. And I feel like watching you over the course of your career, you've done it like
Many times.
many times.
Yeah.
And almost like, I'm sure there was apprehension as you are going through it because as we spoke earlier, your sound sonically, vocally, I remember you just kind of really talking about in the past, just how much you're working on your vocal tone
Hmm.
and the things that you would do, like you would be recording with shit up your nose,
Hmm.
and well, not to make it sound like you
Yeah.
you doing
But
coke or
yeah.
anything, but it's like you had like tissue up your nose just to
Yeah.
kind of get a
I might stuff a
certain
paper
tone,
towel in my
and
cheek to
yeah,
sound like I'm fat.
that's what I'm
You know
saying.
what
And it
I'm
was just
saying?
like just watching you kind of use, and I guess that's the producer in you, like
Yeah.
using your voice as an instrument. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like I just got done reading Miles Davis's book, and he was talking about just how he preferred in some cases to use the muted trumpet, what I mean, because it made his trumpet sound more voice like,
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And it's
Interesting
like,
choice. Yeah.
so it's like boom, it's like, okay, well, yeah, I could play my trumpet without the mute on it, and yeah, it'll give me this vibe, but I want it to sound like a human. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Or
I didn't
he
know
would
that
do
was his
other
reasoning
things to
behind
where
that.
he would like do shit to where he wanted his trumpet to sound more like a electric guitar. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So it's just like, yo, whatever your instrument of choice, what I'm saying, specifically your voice, it's like, yo, taking risk to try to get certain feeling out of it.
Hmm.
I think that's really, like I said, the producer element in you is like, yo, yeah, I know my voice sounds like this, but if I do this, I can get this texture out of it. No
Yeah.
different than how you run, a sample through
Yeah.
fucking tape back into
Yeah.
the dog,
Yeah.
running through just to get this texture that you feel is so important
Yeah.
to the sound or to the overall palette of the song or what you're trying to deliver. So I think, that's a gem, I feel like, that, a lot of, and I guess, producers should consider, I guess trying things different to kind
Hmm.
of, create the sound that they want to so that they can have I guess a song that makes people feel away. You know what I'm saying? Because you, you know, your beats, you know, like you'll use, you know, your basses, right?
Mhm.
And them joints will rock. Like they'll be like boom, 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 boom. Like, and it's just, and I'm sitting there listening as a producer, I'm just sitting there listening, like, yo, I would never do
Yeah.
that. I would never do it. But that's the beauty of like, you know, who you are as a producer. And then, like I said, you're creating a full picture.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I would never do it because I don't have the vocal instrument to like make it make sense on the other end. Or to like be like, oh yeah, I know who would feel comfortable taking a risk rocking over this bass line sounded like that. Like only you could do that. Only you, because you're like, yo, I want this beat to sound like this. I want the bass line to sound like this, and my voice is gonna fit like this. It's like a complete picture.
Yeah.
So it's like almost like I feel like for me, it's like, yo, I got like a bit of a handicap because it's like, oh shit, it's like, yo, I can't really, unless if I started writing my own shit and rapping and just taking the risk with my own music, it's like, yo, I can't really do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but the risk that you could take, like with your production from a musical standpoint, knowing that it's not like you got to sell it to another artist.
Yeah.
It's like you're selling it to yourself.
It's freedom.
You know what I'm saying? So there's a freedom there that you could just do and be like, yo, I like it like this. And guess what? I'm a rap on it too to show you why it's fucking good. It works. You know what I'm saying?
You know, I was gonna say though, that I think that's something that producers can do and probably like should do. Even if you like not even necessarily recording to keep it or whatever, but seeing what you would like to hear on it and is doing, even if it's just laying a reference out or whatever, you in doing so, you might be like, all right, you know what? Let me take this lead out because that's kind of like overbearing my verse right here. So I'll mute this on this part. And maybe I'll bring that in later and I'll have this part for the verse. And you'll know that because you've tried rapping on it. You see that it might clash or whatever. Or maybe it's like, oh, maybe I need to add something here, you know what I'm saying, instead to beef it up for whatever reason. I think playing around like that can allow you to make certain executive decisions when it comes to like a joint and like that. I mean, even when it comes like completing a project, you know, sometimes you gotta switch the songs around, lay them all out, then bounce it all out to hear it and be like, all right, now I can cut this song. You know what I'm saying? I can move this behind here.
Right.
You can make those real decisions, but sometimes you gotta do that official trial run.
Right. And it was funny. I was talking with Maestro the other day, and I was telling him, I was like, you know, you should, you know, try, you know, recording yourself. I was like, do you have a microphone in your studio? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause I've written shit.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I still got some of them I saved. I got the name brand raps.
I definitely sent you a few joints.
But they be cool though. That's the thing I like it. Like I always liked hearing you do joints, right? Because for one, you made the track. So for one, I always find it interesting to see where you decide to go with it in terms of like content, approach, so on and so forth. But I've always noticed that most producers can put together a good song.
See,
they know what to do.
Right.
They might not necessarily have all of the writing dexterity.
Right.
But they know how to make a song sound good. They know what patterns need to go over it, what sort of cadences sound good on it, what vocal tone. A lot of the times, like a good producer knows what they want to hear. And if they can emulate that, they can make a solid song.
And that's typically like I can out mumble rap anybody. Out mumble rap. Nobody is fucking with me. Period. Like I can like all that crazy. Ill nigga. But it's like I feel like, you know, that's like the extent that I go to when it's like, all right, well, boom, let me figure out where the pockets are. And let me figure out, you know, how can I create more space, you know what I'm saying, for the artist that I'm trying to deliver it to. You know what I'm saying? Like if I really feel like, yo, I'm gonna send this to somebody, and I hate sending beats, but if I must really send it to somebody, I'll try to figure out the pockets and make sure that there's a clear space for them to be them, but it's still full enough to where, like you said, with some joints where they'd be like, yo, this doesn't sound all the way done. Like
Mhm.
it feels done to them, and they're like,
Mhm.
yo, I can rock with this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I do feel like you said, I feel like, producers should definitely toy around with, their vocals and kind of hearing, like, even if they do just mumble it, like sometimes I'll actually sit down and write some shit, but even if they just do the mumble, I feel like it helps just
Mhm.
for them to understand, like, hey, yo, you need to have space, because people overproduce like a motherfucker.
People will overproduce.
And I feel like that's
And
what I would do with you. Like I would send you some shit, and I probably sent you some overproduced shit. You know what I'm saying? Not really thinking or considering like who you are as a producer. And I think it took me I mean, as an artist, it took me a while to kind of like, all right, brand, like, yo, just tone this shit back, because this nigga could rap over just a sample if you
yeah,
wanted to. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? So you don't have to do the most. You know
yeah.
what I
So
mean?
I've always liked simple production that didn't have too much going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't like competing for space.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I've always had like a battle with my voice. I hate it. I love it. Back and forth
Mm-hmm.
on it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are certain tracks that are loud and full.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I gotta scream over top of
Mm-hmm.
them to
Mm-hmm.
find my space. Excuse me. So, um, I would kind of like not go for those. Is more. I'm not talking about you specifically, but
No, no, no.
tracks in
Yeah, no.
general.
Yeah.
Um, but uh, creating for myself, um, it's just much easier to leave that space and then fill things up. Because, like, for real, people will definitely overproduce, and sometimes I think it's a matter of like people want to show their talents.
Yeah.
They want to
Mm-hmm.
show the things they can do
Mm-hmm.
and whatever. And sometimes it's just a matter of maybe we only need that for 8 bars,
Yeah.
12 bars. It's a
Mm-hmm.
quick little thing to just go in there that's
Mm-hmm.
like it's that extra garnish.
Yeah.
It's that cherry on the
Like how
top.
Tim does at the end of records. Like
Yes.
Timbaland, he'll go crazy at the end of a record, and you just
Hmm.
be like, I love when he does that.
And see, like for instance, like I feel like Kanye has like been a great leader when it comes to like production for us,
Mm-hmm.
right? We went through the eras with him. There was an era where he was producing the fuck out them songs,
Yeah.
like to the point like I would say like late registration was when it really started,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where he is just like songs will play out for
Yep.
mad long,
Yep.
mad change ups,
Yep. Yep.
different things. Like he took production to another sort of level with that. And then, graduation, he kind of like honed it all in. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? Where like didn't necessarily go too far, but he did a lot of experimenting.
Yeah.
And then like, he took the gambles with like Jesus and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so like one of my favorite joints was Bound 2. You know
Oh,
what I'm
yep.
saying?
Yep. Yep.
Like
Mm-hmm.
those decisions, I still kind of like lean on things like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
songs like that,
Mm-hmm.
I still look at as like inspiration, where it's
Mm-hmm.
just like simple, like I kind of look at the I Ain't Cried Yet beat that I did in
Mm-hmm.
like the vein of a Bound 2, even though it's not the same. He's using like vocal chops and different things to complete the actual loop.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing the same thing, like with I Ain't Cried Yet. I sampled a baby
Mm-hmm.
off of YouTube. You know
Right.
what I'm
Right.
saying? To complete the loop, because the loop didn't go all the way out, and
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Or
Right.
it's like somebody coughing and
Mm-hmm.
using that, or sneezing and using that to
Mm-hmm.
complete the loop. Like that sort of thought comes from seeing like those sorts of decisions. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like it's bare, but each part is start that I'm
Right.
feeling it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Whatever that
Yeah.
piece was
Yeah.
like was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, you could do that. That's hard.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So I guess when creating, and I don't, like, your projects, what would you say would be like the project that kind of that you produce completely that you would say like, yo, caused you, I wouldn't say the most grief, but like you really had to like work that album.
Belabor it.
Yeah.
It was probably definitely Trifling.
Mm.
I think with Trifling, I think I found a really dope sound with that project.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yo, the way like songs like Yappa came together,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like I put like 3 or 4 different samples into that one track, but made it sound like it was all sampled from the same thing. Like,
Right.
like some of the higher parts, like the more like the melodic key parts of that
Mm-hmm.
was from a completely different song and a completely like different key, but I like, transposed it and
Mm-hmm.
made it fit. And like I did a lot of that on that album. I did a lot of blending of samples from different songs and different
Mm-hmm.
genres all on the same track, but making it sound cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really, really worked, I would say, my production chops on that album. Um, Vices, I was still kind of like getting used to working in Logic
Right, right.
and just like creating beats again.
Mm-hmm.
Felt like I hit a stride. I figured out what a sound
Mm-hmm.
that I wanted to have run throughout it, and I just explored that sound completely.
Mm-hmm.
With Trifling, I wanted to up the ante. I knew I wanted to be more melodic.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to have more changes. More bass heavy. And so yeah, that one I really kind of like cranked it out and like figured some things out. Um, and then with Stuck, I felt like I felt that was kind of like the culmination of the things that I had learned in Trifling, uh, and this kind of like revised and updated,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
and then with my Specimen project, I look at that like, in my opinion, I think with time people are gonna realize that's kind of like a masterpiece of production because the entire thing I did, like I scored it and produced it. Like it's a
Mm-hmm.
score. Like
It
it's
is.
like there are sweepers in music just for the acting scene.
Yeah.
There's a like the music plays a role in telling the story.
Mm-hmm.
The way the tracks are and all of that, it's all meant to kind of like bring you into this world and convey this story, take you through the different emotions of the character,
Mm-hmm. I was
give you the
hella proud
emotions
of that
of the
album.
villains and all of that. Like I think that is a production masterpiece, and it hasn't fully been realized yet. But with time,
Bruh.
people are gonna understand and
I
they're gonna
was
listen to it and be like, "Yo, this motherfucker is insane."
I was on vacation, so I really had time to kind of sit with that joint. And I just remember just listening to it and just thinking, like, first I was like, yo, who the fuck did he get to do these voices? And then I'm like, the script is amazing. And then I'm like, this nigga's a writer, of course. It's gonna be great. And then I'm sitting there just listening to the soundscape. Because that's what I prefer to.
That's
I
what
just
it
like
was.
soundscape. It's like,
Yeah.
yo, like it makes complete sense.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I always go back to the idea of like, yo, it's a complete thought. Like it's not, it's a complete sentence. It's complete. I'm not missing anything. Sonically, it sounds like him. And the storyline sound it's a compelling storyline to where you just it's like you can't listen to it and skip through it. Like you have to. It's like watching a movie. It's like you don't watch a movie and just skip to your favorite scene. You kind of you got to build up to that particular scene, and and it makes that scene all the more better. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like you did a really good job. And then just the risk of it all. it's like,
Yeah.
because everybody, it's going back to what we were saying. You didn't want people to feel indifferent, and I felt like by you taking that approach, you really made people have to feel away. It's almost like Andre 3000 coming out with the
The
instrumental
flute
album.
yeah.
It's like it had been some time since you had dropped, and then it's like, of course everybody just wants you to like just give
Yeah.
them bars, bars, bars,
Yeah.
bars, bars, bars. But it's like, nah, you gave them something to feel like, hey, yo, how do you feel about this?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like you said, it's probably one of those things where people, it may take time for it to sink in for them, but it's
Yeah.
like, for the people who just like know, like, and really can just have a certain degree of music appreciation, I feel like scoring is not easy. Writing the script is not easy. You know what I'm saying? And then,
Yeah.
Creating all the lyrics behind it because the songs were heavy. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying too. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? And it gave you still gave insight to who you are as a
Mhm.
person. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yes, it's a story, but it's like, yo, it's him. Though.
Yeah.
Like, this is him. Like,
Yeah. So this is honestly one of probably like the only project I have where I feel like it's gonna be like a slow burn for people to catch
mm-hmm.
on to it. It did really well. Like it was compelling for a lot of people, right? But at the same time, we're in an ADHD generation where
Yeah.
people want things quick. They want
Mm-hmm.
to be able to ingest it. But what I've realized is that there's a segment of people who really want that. They want that story.
Yeah.
They want more of it. They want that music intertwined with
Yep.
narrative, and they like there's people are thirsty for that. And
Fact.
everybody might not have the patience for it. Might not be everybody's cup of tea, but it's something I'm gonna definitely continue to build on.
Mm-hmm.
And I've already scoped out the next 6 albums of that, and that go along with the physical comic and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a bit more work to it than I initially anticipated
Mm-hmm.
when I released it. I thought we'd be able to, get the other aspects of it quicker, but it just doesn't work that way.
Right.
You
Right.
know what I'm
Right.
saying? So, uh, but I think because I'm gonna re-release that
Mm-hmm.
project, remastered with a few extra scenes. It's gonna come
Mm-hmm.
out with the physical comic book, the
Mm-hmm.
action, like
Action
all the
figures.
things that come with it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We're gonna
Yeah.
do a nice re-release,
Uh-huh.
and give it its real proper treatment. We got some video ideas and all sorts of stuff to go along with it. But that's kind of like it's like my baby. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll hold that close. I'm gonna nurture it, and I'm gonna create that into what it needs to be.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I'm gonna continue to reestablish, rebuild my profile,
Mm-hmm.
gain more momentum, and feed the people what it is they want. Because at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, I also want to get my shit off.
Right.
I got 5 years worth of music and just raps that I've written that I need to back my case.
Right.
I need it out in the field or on the landscape. I need it
Mm-hmm.
out in culture so that my fans who think I'm the GOAT
Right.
can argue for me.
Argue. Right. Right.
Nah, because I be thinking like people talk about me in high regard now, but I'm just thinking to myself like, yo, I got all this shit y'all ain't even heard
Heard
yet.
yet.
Y'all ain't even heard my
Right.
best shit yet.
Right.
In my
Right.
opinion,
Right.
what I'm sitting on is gold.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
so it's just like, yo, when y'all hear all of this,
Right.
y'all gonna have to talk about me
Right.
differently.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And so, I just want to get all of that stuff off and put it
Mm-hmm.
all out into the world, so that the people who really rock with me can feel confident when they say I'm the GOAT.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They can
Right.
stand on it and they
Right.
can play more
Play
joints. They don't gotta play old joints.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Play new
Right.
joints.
See, it's funny because I wanted to ask, like, what is your favorite beat that you ever created? And 9 times out of 10, I would probably believe it's something on one of them hard drives that of some shit that you haven't even
Yeah.
released yet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But of the album of the records that you've released up to this point, what would you say is like your favorite?
So I gotta keep it real with you. You had forwarded me over a couple questions earlier before kind of like prep my mind. And I read that one, and I've been thinking on that all day.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact of the matter is, I really don't have one.
Mm.
And I know it sucks to hear that, but the thing is, it's just like, that's like asking me what my favorite rap is, what my favorite song is, what my favorite album is,
who your favorite kid is. Like,
yes. I just can't do it.
Can't
I just don't have one.
They all my babies.
I think when I was younger, I probably would have been able to give you an answer.
Mm-hmm.
But like at this point, and at the rate that I create, I don't even have the time to think about or like gloat, or not even gloat, but just like overly fall in love with one particular joint.
Right.
Because the next joint I'm making, I feel that equally passionate about. And I feel like that's going to be my best one.
Yeah.
Like I'm always trying to top my last pause. Yeah. That sounds crazy. I get a rib removed to do that. Hey, nah, I'm always trying to best my last work. Yo, I'm gonna say this, yo. Niggas be talking about like you can't pause and all of that. Nah, listen, yo, sometimes that's a great thing. It's a great thing because you gotta think before you talk, man. Think before you open your damn mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like think before you talk, man. And so it makes sure you think before you talk, yo. So like, yeah, topping myself is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So let me be more specific. You know what I'm saying? I want to outdo my last work. Yes. You know what I'm saying? At all times. And so I really don't take the time to just sit there and just fall in love with one joint. Like when I'm working on something, that song, I might listen to it straight for like 2, 3, 4 days. That's all I'm listening to on loop, on repeat, maybe for a week, maybe. That's all I'm listening to, that one joint. But once I get it right where I want it, boop, put it in the completed folder. Yep. I'm on to the next one. I'm trying to feel the same way about this one I'm working on that I feel about this one. Exactly. If I feel I've reached perfection with this song, I need this one to stand up to this one. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Facts. And so it's really hard for me to pick a favorite. I would say some of certain joints are more special to me, right? So like I'll go with something recent, like say like the Heroes song that I put out recently. It's really simple, right? It's a loop, but it's like when you hear the actual song that I sampled it from, you're like, it's like, yo, how in the world did you get that moody ass beat from this song? Right. It don't even sound like it should be this, but I chopped like a half, like 2 counts from this bar where this went minor just for a second, and then later in the song, a couple like 2 beats that just so happen to go minor. Right. And when I put them together, they just so happen to sound good. Right. Found one more part, and it's just like, it's like certain joints, like it might be just a loop, but like I put it together like a puzzle. Right. The Power Up joint, there's no drums on it, there's no nothing, but that melody didn't sound like that when I sampled. Right. You know what I'm saying? But I heard these individual pieces throughout the song, and I'm like, I'll put this together. It might be. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's the things that the joints that I really fall in love with are those ones where it's like, if somebody else had this sample, it wouldn't have been able to pull this beat out of it. Like it's not a loop. It's not at the beginning of the song, or at the end of the song, or at the break. It's all in the middle. Like he might have sang and stopped for a second, and 2 counts go, and then boom, boom, boom. Like,
have you gotten into Serato stems, man?
Yo, so
have you gotten into the stems, man?
I have not, yo. So this is the thing. I'm archaic with kind of like my process, yo. I'm still like pulling off of the
I feel you.
Vinyls, tapes, cassettes, YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Sampling straight to the SP at the whole song, then chopping the whole joint. Like,
I respect it.
I wish I could. You know, what I'm fucking mad about is that I've been paying for Splice for like 5 years now. Never
got mad points. Got mad points.
Never used it a day in my life. Don't know how to use it. Can't figure it out.
It's great though.
And I know it is.
And it's gotten better.
I believe it, y'all. I gotta learn it.
I'll say this about Splice. Splice, when I first got it, and I first
I think
started,
you put me onto it.
Yeah, I first started investing in it, bro. I probably shouldn't have put you onto it when I put you onto it because it really didn't have like the content. But the content on it that it has now, it's like, yo, you could really have a lot of fun with it. I'm gonna have to. I just use it. I use it typically to find like just a little cherry on top. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like I don't go in there and be like, yo, I'm about to take this sample and make a beat around a sample. Like, I might, like, say if I just want a dope horn or dope something that I know I can't play on the keys. I need that live feel just to go over these dirty ass drums. Like, I'll just go in there, you know, you do the little look up, search by key, search by tempo, and it just got, I mean, it's so much, it's way more content on it.
And I'm gonna tell you, why I'm intimidated by stuff like that, right? One of the reasons I love the SP404, right, is because if I have too many options, I could paralyze myself. I could become paralyzed into indecision. Yeah. Because everything looks
analysis
so
paralysis.
Yes.
Analysis paralysis.
Analysis paralysis. That's a great term.
Yeah, man. Stay away from that.
I have too many options and I can do anything. And so since I can do everything, I end up doing nothing. The thing I love about the SP, you got these many effects. You know what I'm saying? You can't hit this. You can't hit 2 or 3 more pads at the same time. You gotta. There are limitations.
Yeah.
And those limitations, those boundaries, those guardrails, you tying your hand behind your back, it causes you to come up with creative solves and problem solving that leads you into a new territory or figuring something out.
That's a fact.
That you wouldn't have been able to figure out if you just access everything that you had access to. And so I know certain people work really well with that because they've been working in it for a while and they understand what's there, what not to mess with. They know what they like and everything. Me, I'm so green. I'll open it up. I'll see everything. I'll be like, yo, I could do something with all 30 of them joints.
Yo, straight up.
And then I was like, yo, which one do I do first? Then I'll just open up something old I got. And then it's like, you know, like one of my favorite things is I'll open up an old beat that I did like 2 years ago, Fire Ass Loop, and I'll just open up the sample, create a project alternative for it, name it something else, and then pull up that same sample, pitch it to a different level, slow it down or whatever, and sample another part of that same song and make something that sounds completely different. You know what I mean?
I think the thing about, cause see, I love, well, you know, I'm a software developer at heart, you know what I'm saying? So I love a good plugin. I love like knowing that there's somebody out here thinking about the woes that producers deal with and they figure out how to alleviate those woes that we deal with. So like, you know, the idea of, oh, we got this sample, and as soon as it gets to the joint, the part that you want to sample, either some wild drums come in or the vocalist, you know, starts doing a thing, and it's like you can't get that piece.
Yeah.
That's the thing about
yeah,
Serato sample that makes like my heart sing. Like, it's like, if I had this 20 years ago, what would I be doing? Like, you know, just now, you know, and the shit just sounds so good. That's why I'm like, yo, you using something like that?
Yeah.
And it's just a click. Oh, give me the drums, or hey, yo, I just want the bass line.
The bass line of it. Yeah.
It's so nasty, bro.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's unfair. Yeah,
it's unfair, and it's like, but it's
I don't
like,
even think unfair is the right word.
It's not.
Blessing.
It's a blessing because really, for real, like, I think it's gonna expand the level of creativity, and that's why I'm like, yo, somebody like you having that in your hands, like that, to be able to manipulate a sample in any way that you want, and you can get exactly the piece that you want, and it sounds, I know the algorithm is going to get better with it to where it sounds even better. And there's other tools out there that sound like RipX sounds pretty good too. But with Serato sample, I mean, bro, like I sample in that thing all day. That's like the best sampler ever.
Word.
Yeah, I used to, the ESX24. Like, I haven't used it.
My favorite sampler is the SP.
But the way that you like to go from DAW into sampler,
I would end up sampling from Serato right to the SP,
right from the SP, and that's what I'm saying. I could see it. It would work or enter seamlessly into your workflow.
It would probably be a much quicker process for me.
Bruh.
Sample finding. I'm not going to mention where I like to pull my samples from. My favorite spot, I'll tell you off camera. I'm not putting, y'all niggas is not going to know where I get my samples from. I told just a couple niggas. Like this one spot.
One spot.
I know what platform it's on. This is one spot. And it's the craziest samples. It's different. It's
right.
Different.
No. Right.
I'll tell you after.
I feel like I already.
You might know. I might have talked to you about it, or maybe you just know. But it's not no program or nothing like that.
They're like the people who know. You know what I'm saying?
I'll say this: where I'm pulling these samples from is very low numbers. There's not a lot of people that go there.
Right.
The people that go there don't even go there looking for samples. I think they just go there to enjoy it.
Right.
And so I'll tell you after we get off.
Yeah, for sure.
If anybody want to know, like, it's fine, you gotta pay me an appendage. I need a blood sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? I might put
everything.
I might
straight up.
Olympus, man.
Straight up.
But
hold on.
Oh yeah, I'm all the way over here.
You good. Well, see, they ain't need to hear that part anyway.
Yeah, they ain't need to hear that. But what was I gonna say? The one thing I have been utilizing. Shout out to this nigga, man. Them beat butcher filth drum joints. Yo, I gotta say this, man. Fam did a real service to the culture with that, yo.
He did.
He stepped up niggas' production levels immensely.
Yes.
Finding good drums is always the hardest thing to do.
And what I like about his joints is that they're not just drag and drop.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like you still gotta chop his breaks. You know what I'm saying?
I never take any break and just leave it as is. But the other thing about it is most times I don't even use the breaks. I just take the actual individual samples. He has tons of hats, tons of snares, tons of kicks, perks, like all of that. So the sounds that he has that he's like provided to the culture.
Yeah.
A1, man.
For sure.
I think he did a service, man, and he needs to get an award for that sometime down the line.
Yo, for real. So how do you feel just about that the community of sample, composers and break beats and all that? Like, how do you feel about it? Like,
so I'm all about I don't mind the drum loops at all, right? Because I think when we were pulling breaks off of a record or anything, it's a whole drum loop right there.
Right,
you just like that's what we were doing in the first place.
Right.
Looking for a break. And I'm from the era of looking for a break. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so if there's a folder of breaks already provided,
excuse me,
I'm gonna use them motherfuckers.
Straight up,
you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we talking about? Like that's what it is. Now, I'll say I'm not mad at the people creating sampleable content, like basically composing something and people sampling it. I personally don't use them just because I know everyone else has access to them. And one thing I've always taken pride in is
exclusivity,
sampling something that people aren't going for. Like, I got this one track I made, and it's not out yet, but I literally looped up a fight scene. And like the way the punches, the kicks, and the grunts sounded at this one section, it had a rhythm to it. Like
right.
And it was just like I was just watching the movie and I just heard that they were fighting and it was a boom boom and I was like, hold on. Hold the fuck, hold on.
Definitely a kick in the snare.
I started plugging that joint up, like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? And it sampled the loop, and it was like 2 kicks, 3 punches, a headbutt, and a grunt or something.
Right.
Just in sequence. I didn't have to do nothing to it.
Right.
I just looped these 2 people fighting.
Right.
And it sounded like and right at that moment in the movie, there was one string hit. Like it went with a punch.
Right.
And so it was just like this perfect little section of a fight scene that had rhythm to it that I heard and I sampled it and just looped it up and hit threw one bass note on it, boom, and just let the loop go, boom, and it's just like, yo, this shit is so creative,
right.
Like I'm just like, yo, I love my ear for catching that because nobody would have heard that.
Right.
This is what I'm sent here to do.
Right.
I'm sitting here to catch these weird little things, and create something with it, and inspire the next person to listen to something weird out in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So that's why, you know, I'm always looking on like what hiphopdrumsamples.com or whatever. I'm always looking at the new kit or new, you know, sample things, and I bought the packs, but it's just like I hardly ever end up using them, or I'll chop the hell out of them, so that they don't sound anything like that. Just because I know that other people have access to them, and they're so complete and they sound so good all the time. That's like it's hard not to just take the whole loop and just throw your own drums on it.
That's how I feel. Like I'm kind of like if it's something to where I feel like I have nothing to add to it, or it's like it sounds way too polished. It sounds like it's supposed to be dragged and dropped. Those are the ones that I stay away from. Now, see, me personally, the way I look at it, right? I'm like, yo, that's how hip hop was kind of, you know, started. Of course, like especially when it comes to the break beats, like yo, you take a break beat, you loop that bitch up, you throw another sample over top of that, and there you go. But when it comes to like the composers, like, see, this is where I kind of look at big picture, right? Because I'm like, big picture is it's like because that game really got big over like the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like when these musicians could not gig, you know what I'm saying, and they had to figure out a way to kind of make money. You know, that's when things started really going crazy. And I believe that's probably when, you know, fucking what's the shit that we were just talking about? Splice started going crazy because, you know, you started having a lot of these musicians out here, you know, trying to create, are still trying to, you know, one, make money and still trying to be creative. And this provided like a whole lane for people. Like, you know, like they're like when you go on Splice, you can, like I said, type in saxophone and or flute, and you could get just some dope, just saxophone only, trumpet only. But where would you find that at? You know what I'm saying? Like, where would you find, you know, these types of samples, you know what I mean, to where you could just isolate that, you know, and almost feel like, yo, I just hired
now that I would,
you know what I'm saying?
That I would take advantage of. Like, I think that is a great aspect of that, where you can get just a solo instrument, or, you know, like something to add that, like you said, that extra garnish, that extra piece to the track.
Right.
I think for me, it's like the complete composition
composition
are tougher for me to work with.
Right.
And I have though.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say I haven't. I have, but 9 times out of 10, I'll end up just being like, "Oh, this sounds so good," but like
Yeah.
it sounds so good that I know you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Other niggas
yeah.
is
But
gonna
somebody
use
gonna
it.
come and
I
they
need
gonna
to I
and
need
they gonna
to
be lazy with it. And you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And they just gonna drop it in there. So I look at it and I'm thinking like, yo, this is a genius way of supporting like the community, like at large when it comes to like musicians, you know what I'm saying, trying to, one, make a living, you know what I'm saying, but two, also be able to like, you know, allow their talent to like
Mhm.
still inspire, you know, people who they never would be able to get in contact with. Just like how I don't know this flute player, I don't know this
Mhm.
trumpet player, but because I got Splice or because, I went on drumbroker.com, shout out to drumbroker.com.
Mhm.
Because I went on the drumbroker.com, now I done came across this particular composer, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And I also look at it like when we look at Beat Butcher, when we look at any other, producer who may put out a pack, I look at that shit like, yo, damn, this is my way of being able to kind of like pseudo work with this nigga. Like, you
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
like, yo,
that's a good
shit,
way to look at it too.
like damn, like I was able to work with, I don't know, any producer out there who has a
That
pack.
made yeah.
Be like, if it's Metro Boomin, I don't know, he
Yeah.
don't have one, but it's
V-Don.
like V-Don, shout out to V-Don.
V-Don. I
Yeah,
bought one of his
I
packs.
bought one of his packs too.
Yeah.
So shout out to V-Don. So it's like, yo, boom. It's like me being able to sit down and be like, damn, like that nigga up in New York right now. Like, but
Mhm.
I got, one of his, his beat packs down here that I can sit down and kind of flip a joint. And in my mind, it's like, shit, me and him were able to collab a little bit, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying, on a project, you know what I'm saying, or on a joint. So
I'll tell you one thing I've done. Now it looked like you was about to say something. I cut you
no,
off,
no,
but
go ahead.
kind of like going along that vein. Like, one of my favorite samplers is this.
Mm,
And when I'm out in the world, yo, if I catch somebody playing drums on the corner,
mm,
if I'm in New York
mm-hmm,
and walking through the subway, there's somebody singing a song, playing a guitar or anything, I will sample that right with my
for
phone.
sure.
Get that compression, get that EQing, pull them
Mm-hmm,
sounds right out. Like
mm-hmm.
I got so many fire ass samples on my phone.
Mm,
Um, I remember I was in New York one year and there was a guy playing a song. I think he was playing on violin or something. I can't remember what he was playing specifically, some sort of instrument. It was in the subway, and I went up to him. I gave him a $20 tip, and I said, "Can you play something in F minor for
mm,
me? Anything in F minor. I just do like I like minor key, I like F minor, whatever it is." He played it. I said, "I'm gonna record it on my phone if you don't mind." He said, "Nah, whatever." I dropped the money in there, and he played me like 5 minutes of
mm,
just something. I don't know what it was,
mm-hmm.
but I sampled it with my phone, took it home, threw that joint, you know what I'm saying, in the machine, looped it up crazy. I was in Sunset Park. There's a bunch of I was up there, I was up in New York for probably like a month working out of an Airbnb in Sunset Park, and there was this group of Asian, like older Asians who would play music and sing in the park every
Mm,
morning
mm-hmm,
and every evening.
mm-hmm.
And they had a whole little band there. They had a guy would bring his little drum set. They had somebody who played the instrument, whatever.
Right.
And I would just sit on the bench next to them, hit record on my phone, and just sit it there and just
Mm,
record them singing and doing music. You know what I'm saying, for like an hour or something,
right.
and then just go back and just
Chop that shit up.
yeah. And so I'm always trying to find stuff out in the world. I
Right.
could be in church. I could be in an elevator and
Mm-hmm.
a certain song is playing. If it's loud
Mm-hmm.
enough, put my
Get that.
phone up in the corner,
Let me get
record
that.
it, get that, and with the sound that I have
Right.
and that I'm known for, the fact that it's hissy or there's background,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
don't matter. My sound anyway. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm always thinking like that, and I will label it as at the park this
Mm-hmm.
date. You know what I'm saying? Whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is. And so I'm always kind of like this looking for sounds and
Mm-hmm.
just anything. Like I could walk through a door and it makes a beeping sound.
Right.
And I'm like,
Let me get
oh,
that.
let me walk back through that joint real quick. Hit
Right,
the
right,
record,
right.
walk back through the door. Boop,
And
boop.
you know what? And I think that is like dope too, because like you said, your music already lends itself to having heavy textures. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? And odd, like you said, like shit. I'm sure while you're recording the Asian folks, doing a thing, birds are chirping.
Mhm. Might be
You know what
somebody
I'm saying?
yelling over
Somebody might
here.
be yelling, and it's like, and even that, adding those elements into your music, that's shit that you can't even like. You can't plan that. You can't like. It's just like, oh, this is life. It's like you're
Exactly.
sampling life, and because of how your sound is, it just makes complete sense. It's like, that it probably wouldn't work for like, like my natural production sound, because
Mhm.
my production sound is a little bit clean. It's like a
Mhm.
little bit more polished, like,
Mhm.
and I think for your sound, it's like it's perfection. It's like, damn, like, and it's like it's those things that will make me be like, shit,
You know what
I
it
need to
is?
do that.
How I look at it is it's like I'm always on,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like so
Mm-hmm.
my creativity and creation process doesn't start when I'm in front of the computer,
Right.
doesn't start when I'm at home at my desk.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm out,
On.
I'm always on, whether
Right.
it's writing,
Right.
I could see a word, I could think of a line, I could
Mm-hmm.
have an interaction with somebody and a
Mm.
phrase gets said and
Mhm.
I jot it down real quick.
Mhm. Mhm.
And you know what I'm saying? Or open up the car door and hear something, you know what I'm saying? Ding, 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 ding,
Mhm.
ding.
Mhm.
Sample
Mhm.
that. Like,
Mhm.
uh, it's just like, it's just a matter of just always being on, just
Mhm.
always listening for a word,
Mhm.
for a inspiring line,
Right.
something profound, a
Right.
sound.
Right.
Um, and I think when we adopt that sort of mindset to always be on, always be listening out,
Mhm.
always be watching
Mhm.
and trying and searching, like if you seek, you'll find.
Mhm.
And so it's
Mhm.
like if you're
Mhm.
always looking for that next sound or that next word or whatever it is going to present itself to you.
Right.
And life will bless you that way.
That's
And
a
so
fact.
I think I find a lot of things like that because I'm just like always looking for that.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Nah, that's hella dope. And you know what? It's like, again, another gem, because I feel like a lot of times, because I even preach this myself, like, hey, yo, step away, live life. And maybe, in so many words, it's kind of like the same thing, but it's like, yo, I always be like, yo, you gotta live life a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta have a reason to, like when you step away, live life, it gives you something to think about, gives you this different energy. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, and you're like, I'm always on. So it's like but you're living life though,
Yeah.
still. So it's
Yeah.
like,
I'm
yo,
going
I'm
out doing
I'm
what I
going
want.
out,
I'm gonna
but
go to the movies
but something, but I'm always in tune
always.
with what's
Like,
happening.
say I go to Bird Theater, right?
Mhm.
Got the guy Bob who plays the organ or the
Mhm.
piano beforehand. I'm
Mm.
going to watch a movie.
Right.
But fam starts playing the organ, and I'm
Right.
just like,
Huh?
hold on, let me just
Let me get
now just put
this.
it up on the seat in front of me. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Let me get
So to
this.
get whatever he's
Mhm.
doing, you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
Go to like the folk festivals,
Right.
right? They got all the sometimes I just get the natural ambiance of a crowd
Yeah, yeah,
talking.
yeah, yeah.
It's a bunch of people standing in line.
Mhm.
Boom, I can use this sound for a skit or
Right.
something.
Right.
Or
Right.
I hear two people arguing right here. I might just get a little bit closer.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Hit the record and I can use that as background for something.
Right.
A lot of times at those folk festivals, they'll have performances.
Mhm.
And they'll have performances for music I don't typically listen to. Bluegrass, fiddle groups, or whatever it
Mhm.
is. It's like, stand over here for a second. I'll get close to the stage,
Right.
hit record, and now I got like a fiddle sample and
Right.
so on and so forth. So it's like, it's not necessarily I went there to do that,
Right.
but since we're here, I
Let
got
me
this
tap in.
device.
Right.
I know how to EQ it, clean it
Right.
up.
Right. Clean
They
it
got
up.
plugins that
Right.
can just clean it out and take out the background noise
Right.
if you want to.
Right.
So and then a lot of times if you just take that low end out, you can remove a lot of that
Yep. Yep.
ambient sound, you know what I'm saying? You can get those frequencies that you want.
Mhm.
And so yeah, it's just like, always on.
Nah, and that's like I said, I think that's a gem, because it's like, I don't think, I'm sure people do, but I just don't think a lot of people understand the power of their iPhone and how much it can be a part of your production process. I know, like for me, I don't like I'll probably just go as far as like if I'm hearing something in my head, or if I hear like a drum pattern that I may want to recreate, I'll beatbox that.
Yeah, I would do that too.
You know what I'm saying? Or just more so like if I hear like melodies in my head, I'll record those. But I never really gone, maybe I'm just not quick enough, because I do find myself catching myself like, oh shit, what the fuck was that? Like, but I'm never quick enough to be like, you know what I'm saying?
Always. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you, one of my favorite restaurants, Plus 79. Going there every single time I'm in there, they're playing some crazy like Vietnamese ballad that I've never heard. You know what I'm saying? It's like I always sit in this one corner that's under the speaker because their playlist in there is crazy. So I'll sit there, I'll order my food, I'll have lunch, I'll just, be eating my food, and then a certain song will come on, and I'll hit Shazam. If it comes up on Shazam, I'll just screenshot it or add it to my Apple Music and make a note. Resample this.
Right.
If it's not coming up, record, and I'll hold my phone right here.
Right.
Sipping my broth. You know what I'm saying?
Straight up.
And just get that recording down, man.
Straight up. Nah, that's real.
I don't you gotta capture those moments if you can. You know what I'm saying? That lightning in a bottle.
Right. So I mean, I think we're dropping some gems. So it's like, yo, what would you tell like an up and coming producer, you know what I'm saying, to, that's like new on their journey? What would you want to give them as far as like a gem, or to keep them going, or just to consider as they're on this journey? What would you tell them?
I would say, first of all, and this is gonna sound really basic, but it's really true. Make the most of what you have, and don't lower your bar or what you're aiming to do to what you think your equipment can produce. But know what it is that you want to do and figure out how to do it with what it is that you have. Everything that I learned and the decisions I learned how to make when it comes to production and workarounds has always come from not necessarily having the right tools.
Right.
I think so many people feel like, yo, I gotta have this, I gotta have this plugin, I gotta have this tool, this or that to make what it is that I want. Use what you have and make the best out of it, because that's where you start coming up with those creative solves. Right. That's where your brain starts working differently. It's the same reason why I said I like the SP, for instance. It's time consuming. You don't have as many options. And because of that, you've got to be a bit more creative, or you have to think about it differently. You have to problem solve. And that skill of problem solving and figuring out a way to accomplish what you hear, even though you don't necessarily have all the tools. When there's a will, there's a way.
Right.
It can be done.
Right.
You just got to figure out how to get it done. You know what I'm saying? And when you have that mindset, like I'll say one thing about me is and this is why I say, yo, I'm one of the most Richmond artists you can ever find. I feel like I embody this city, because I feel like this city has a real punk DIY sort of feel to it naturally.
It does.
We're people who like get our hands dirty. We're gonna figure it out a way. We'll do it ourselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. And I've been like that from the very beginning. I told you my story of how I made my first beats.
Yep.
A microphone, a headphone plugged into a microphone jack, recording off of a keyboard speaker, switching tapes and adding stuff. I didn't have equipment. I didn't know nothing about no programs. I didn't know nothing about no 4-track. I didn't know nothing about a studio. I just knew I wanted to record. I figured out a way to do it, and I had something.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And that's always been my approach, regardless of what my equipment is, regardless of what I'm lacking,
Mm-hmm.
what I don't have, I'm not gonna let it get in the way of what it is that I want to create
Mm-hmm.
and what it is that I feel I'm meant to do.
Right.
And I feel like I was given an analytical brain,
Mm-hmm.
a brain that problem solves, and a creative brain. And if everything is given to me or laid out to me, I'm not going to be able to I'm not using my brain to its strongest capacity.
Right.
And so, not to say that I'll deprive myself of things
Mm-hmm.
for that,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, I make the most of what I have. I still don't got the best equipment, but I know how to get the best sound out of what I have.
Right. Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And so I would just tell any person, like, don't get discouraged because you don't got all the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Nigga,
And I
yo,
think that's what a lot of I think you're right with that. I think a lot of people get discouraged just because they see what other people have,
mhm.
and they feel like, or they believe that those things that they have is the reason why this person's music sounds this particular way. And I think a lot of people put a lot of focus in on equipment and, having everything that you need, feeling like you have to have everything, or the latest and greatest this or the latest and greatest that, in order to make good beats. When, like you saying, it's like, yo, if you really want to do it, you can
Figure it out.
you can figure that shit the
I'm gonna
fuck
tell
out.
you, yo. This blew my mind. I was in New York just a couple of weeks ago, did the Static Selector show, and I had I had a studio session the night before with DJ Clockwork.
Mm,
Yo, this nigga hit me with some fire. But on the way out, I met this other guy who I had met at a Top Shelf Premium Supply and Demand show like a little bit earlier. But he had played me. He was like, "Yo, I want to toss you some beats." And so he was playing these beats for me off of his phone, right? I was just like listening to him through the phone speaker. Like, damn, shit hard. I'm like, yo,
mm,
what you use? You like the SP, MPC? What you would? He said, nah, I said I make my beats on my phone. I said, nigga, what?
mm,
This nigga has an app on his phone that
mm-hmm,
he's sampling,
mm-hmm,
making beats,
mm-hmm,
and all of this looping shit of tracking it out, all of that
mm,
from his phone, and it sound like it's coming through hardware and whatnot. And I'm like,
mm,
niggas is doing that now?
mm.
Like I had no idea. I would have thought he was, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
Using sampling off of vinyl and
right,
whatever. But he's doing it on his phone. You know what I'm saying? And
heavy.
so, and granted, he's much younger than
Mm-hmm.
I am. So he's growing up in this era, in
Right,
this age where
right.
he do that
Everything
and
on your
whatever.
phone.
I don't even know how to do that. I'm old school. I'm archaic. I'm stuck in my ways. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I go to Goodwill to find my samples. You know what
Right,
I'm saying? I
right.
buy a whole bunch of cassette tapes, CDs,
Mhm.
vinyl, whatever it is. Movies.
Right.
But he is pulling it, he is doing it on his phone, man. And I was just like mind blown. It's just like,
So
and I
it's
told
like,
him to send me the joints. I didn't care that he was making. I'm like,
right,
yo, send me a folder. Like, hell yeah, I'll rock over one of them shits. That
right,
shit hard. Like, and I still gotta make sure I check my email to follow up on that.
right,
Like, I just reminded myself of that. But it didn't matter to me,
right,
right? Like I'm not thinking like, yo, he doesn't have this equipment, I can't rock over this. I'm thinking like that's fire.
right,
And send that to me.
right,
And then I'll love to tell somebody this nigga made this shit on his phone.
right.
You
And
know what
that's
I'm
the
saying?
thing. I feel like that's the thing about it. I feel like, people focus again so much on the equipment, right? And not understanding, like, you know, your audience. When you think about who your audience is, they don't give a shit. As long as it sounds good, as
Mhm.
long as it makes them feel something, they don't care. You could have made it on your iPhone. You could have made it on an SP. You could have made it in Logic. You could have made it using MP. You could have made it using what fucking ever. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? But if
Make them
you
feel away.
understand who your audience is and you create for your audience, not creating, because see, other producers might, and that was another thing I pulled from that Miles Davis book. Shout out to Miles Davis. Recipes. That's a really good book, but because he really talks about his transition from, the early 1940s, 1945, when he started and he was working with Dizzy Gillespie and, Louis Armstrong and all that. And as things changed and the sound became more electronic, towards the, 70s, 60s, late 60s, 70s, and of course the 80s. And he was just talking about like how, some of the older, like he had a little, he loved Louis Armstrong, but he had a huge, like, I guess, frustration with him and how he would talk about newer artists or instrumentalists who utilize electric, like keyboards and, and his frustration of synthesizers and all that. And he would just kind of be so upset or frustrated with Louis Armstrong because he just would down talk folks, who use electric, equipment. And it was like this clear understanding there that Miles had with understanding evolution and not, I guess, feeling the way about how it's done today versus how it was done yesterday. It's about the feel of the music. And that's what his whole thing was like, yo, it doesn't matter. Like, it provides a different sound. And he understood that people love that electronic sound. So understanding and knowing your audience, what I'm saying? Otherwise, jazz, would have never evolved into bebop and would have never evolved into, what we, kind of experienced in the 80s when it came to, fusion jazz and all that. You know what I'm saying? It would have never evolved, but he understood the audience and understood like, hey, this is a texture of sound that our audience likes. Now, he's like, I'm not trying to impress, somebody of the past who has done it, or played music in this particular way or form or fashion, because I'm playing for my audience and the people who ultimately are buying my records. And, you know what I'm saying? So I think, to go back into what you were saying, it sounds like, your gym is ultimately like, our, I guess advice would be like, look, don't make excuses.
Yeah. Don't
Like,
make look, man.
Just if you really want to do it, do it.
Yeah, my homie, man, I'll let him remain anonymous in this, but he's incredibly talented. Has all the talent in the world, but he kind of like hinders himself because he'll be like, yo, I need this equipment, I need that, I need this to make the sound right, and it's like, yo, my nigga, you got it all.
I already know.
Yeah, it's like you got it all, my nigga.
Yeah.
You got it all. You got the voice, you got the lyrics, you got the production, you got better equipment than I do already. Your equipment is already better than mine. You got it all, nigga. Just do it.
I hit him with that analysis paralysis line too. I was like, bro,
it's a real thing.
Get out your own way.
It is a real thing. But just do it. Just do it. The universe, the world will reward you
for just doing it.
And that's one thing I know. I know that like the work that I put in, the love that I put into it, the intention that I put into what I do, there's no way that I can't be rewarded for it.
Facts.
You put that much into it, that energy comes back to you.
Always.
I put so much power and creative power and energy, the God-given gift, into what I'm doing, and it's so intentional that it has to work. It has to make people feel away. Might not make everybody feel away, but it's going to make people feel away. There are going to be people who get it because it's that intentional.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact.
Be intentional. That's the other gym. Be intentional about everything. Don't leave it up to happenstance. Don't leave it up to chance. Make a decision and go with it.
Facts.
You You know what I'm saying?
Facts. So, what do you have on the horizon, man? What's coming next for you
All
down
right,
the
man.
line?
So this is 2024, man. I dropped the album in 2023. Before that, my last project came out in 2018. So it was a good amount of time that I was creating music daily, more so than I had been in previous years, but I didn't put anything out. I was developing, growing as an artist, um, learning just different aspects of the craft. And this year, man, I plan to just put out a lot of music, man.
Mm,
Um, I want to make a lot of money from this thing. I want to establish some independence and liberation
mm-hmm.
and free up my time and do go beyond my wildest dreams with my talent at my regardless of what my age is. I
Right.
feel like a brand new artist. Um and feel like I still have a lot to prove. There's a chip on my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot that I want to put out. So I have a project coming up right on the horizon. I told you the name
Mm-hmm.
beforehand. I'm not going to announce the name just yet. We'll keep that as a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Um but I think when people just even see what is named in the concept of the album, I think a lot of the things that I talked about in here will become apparent on that project. The
Mm-hmm.
risk taking, the recreation, the intentionality of everything, and just kind of like the breadth and just range that I have as an artist. Um, all of it's going to be on full display all year long.
Mm.
Y'all niggas is either gonna love me by the end of the year or you're gonna be tired of me, but you're not gonna miss me.
Right.
That's the one thing.
Right.
You're not gonna miss
Beautiful.
me
Beautiful.
because I'm gonna be in your face all year long, man. I think it's already evident. Like I've been moving and posting and uh, you know, ever since. You know what I'm saying? Like I've come back. I would say after I dropped the specimen, there was kind of like a little bit of a lull because I was writing uh the comic book aspect of it,
Mm-hmm.
doing a lot of that. Um, but the past few months I've just been back in my bag. Like I want to put out an album every other month for the rest of the year
Mm.
if I can. Like
Heavy.
I got enough music to do so.
Right. Right.
It's as long as my schedule allows me to do so.
Right.
And I'm able to do the mixing and the mastering
Right.
part of it.
Right. Right. Right.
That's really the thing. But in terms of having content, I have an pretty much almost endless supply of content right now. Endless is crazy, but it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's
Yeah.
a lot
I
of
can
it's a
imagine.
lot of stuff. So I'm gonna big pause. I'm gonna release onto the whole world this year. All year long, it's gonna be releasing, splashing on that. Pause. You know what's going on, man. I want to put out a lot of content this year, man. I legit have a hard time falling asleep at night sometimes when I'm thinking about all of the stuff that's just sitting on my hard drive.
Right.
That's not out in the world helping people. That's not inspiring people. You know what I'm saying? It's just collecting digital dust.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it needs to go out. It needs to be in the world. I listen to these songs all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Some of them I drop in the group chat. The homies get to hear them, but the world hasn't heard them. And like I said, I need to put my art out into the world so that it can back my case for the GOAT.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah, there's never just one GOAT. We all understand that, but I do believe that I am one of them, and I think rappers know that, and they, you know what I'm saying, like people give me that respect, but y'all don't even know the half yet, man.
Right.
Y'all don't know the half yet. And one thing about being a real writer and a true writer is that you get better with age. You become more insightful.
Mm-hmm.
You have more experiences.
Facts.
You figure out how to say more with less.
Mm-hmm.
And I've continued to grow. Like I haven't gotten complacent. I don't feel like I've made my best work yet.
Right.
I don't feel like I know I haven't accomplished everything I want to accomplish yet. but I don't think I've peaked as a writer in my experiences, in my ability to articulate myself. I'm learning every day. I'm re-inspired every day, and I am coming to shut shit down.
Let's go.
Shut shit down.
Man, I feel like
F stands for finally.
Yes. I feel like, God damn, I feel like I need to send you a pack. Like,
you do need to send me a pack, bro.
For real. I'm gonna pull together them joints that I was like, yo, I feel like
please do, man. I'm in my bag right now.
That's all right.
I'm dicing shit up right now.
That's
like
all right.
For real. It's about to be a moment.
That's all right.
So, all year long.
I'm looking forward to it. So I like to end off all interviews with this one question. So let the people know. One fun fact, doesn't have to be music related, can be anything.
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact about Nickelus F.
Nickelus F is an avid reader. I love to read. It's one of my favorite things to do. If I'm not making music, I love to run. I'll run 2 to 3 miles every day. In the summer, it's 3 to 5 miles every day. And I love to read. So every Wednesday.
Are you a book reader or are you Audible?
No, I'm a physical reader. Book reader and a comic book reader.
Okay.
I buy comic books every week. Large comic book collection. I love all of that. I read all sorts of comic books. Love to read comic books and just love to read in general.
Mm-hmm.
Really into ancient history, all that sorts of stuff. If I ever decide to go back to school again, it will be for history to get a degree as a historian. It's one of my favorite subjects. I'm always asking the question why, who, and how. I'm a very inquisitive person. I love sciences. I love long walks, across the event horizon of a black hole. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you see where my mind go? Not the beat. We walking on the event horizon. Right. My date slips and then stretches out infinitely into a hole. I never see her disappear. She just gets longer and longer and longer.
See? Listen to this thing.
Yeah, big sci-fi head science. You know what I'm saying? That's why the comic books have always been so interesting to me. One of my favorite gifts that I got as a kid was a chemistry set. You know what I'm saying? Mixing chemicals together, getting reactions. And I'm a nerd deep down. You know what I'm saying? Yes. I'm a nerd. Proud of it. I don't try and hide my intelligence.
If y'all were in our group chat, you would be exposed to this. Like I know he's giving you like the high level.
Yeah.
But it's like for real, it gets very granular. Like I'm the person in the group chat that doesn't talk much. I don't but I read everything. Like he'll drop some stuff in the group chat.
Yeah.
And I'll just go research it. Like, what is my man talking about today? You know what I'm saying? And then, but nah, for real, it'll send you down a wormhole. He might drop in a YouTube clip about something, and you just be like, "Yo, this is what you thinking about."
Always researching
on Tuesday.
Always researching, always studying, always reading, always trying to learn. Like one thing that I hate is that there's so many books that I won't be able to read before I pass on. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so many things that I'll see titles. It's like, oh, I just want to read that. I just don't got the time for it. Like, I would like to be able to make enough money so that I could just take a whole year and just sit down at the top of a mountain with my feet in a lake and just read. You know what I'm saying? Just read. Yo.
Like I've like probably over the course of the past 2 years, I've been trying to read more, not physical books. I'm an Audible guy. Like
I got Audible. I bought 2 books on Audible this morning.
Oh shit! See, I'm trying to figure out what my next 2 books are gonna be. Like, I think for me, like, just being able to kind of sit down. Yeah, send me some stuff. just being able to like sit down and just kind of listen, you know what I mean, to like I think I like listening to autobiographies, you know what I'm saying, about these people, you know what I'm saying, that really have always interested me, but you know, I never really either, like I said, you can make a million and one excuses as to why you don't read a book. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Because you can always find something better to do or something else to do in a sense. Let me not say something better to do, but something else to do. Because now that I'm reading or listening to audiobooks more, I be lost in these books, man. And just being able to kind of like pull things and reference things into like my current life and
Mm-hmm.
being like, oh man, like damn, I kind of felt like Malcolm, you know what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
in this, or like I understand what he was trying to say here, or like you might deal with something and be able to like I know I like self-help books too, like, you know, self-help books, like, you know, just kind of things to, you know, improve your mind and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Understand your mind a lot better.
I'll tell you
Um,
what books I downloaded today off Audible. Secret Bases of the Inner Earth.
Jesus.
It's about the alien races that have been here for a long time and that have been guiding humanity through time. And then the other one was, that was the not started one, is Secret Journey to Planet Serpo. Where in like I think the 1960s or something, they sent 12 people to go live on an alien planet with our teachers and architects, and they ended up coming back years later, and it's a whole crazy story. It's like documented government, you know, program. It's all sorts of that. Yo, there's so much that we are just not up
privy to.
on. Yes,
Right.
we're not privy to, but there's a lot going on. There's a lot that's been going on from a long time ago. I'll just leave you with this, yo. The technology that's available to us is 100 to 200 years behind what is capable. Like they have technology now that sounds like that is 200, that would be 200 years in the future, but it's available right now. It's behind private industries, can't reach it, you know what I'm saying? But they stole our technology, man.
There we
Or
go.
they didn't steal it, they never shared it. You know what I'm
Listen,
saying?
this is
Uh
why we need to reading is fundamental. So shout out.
Reason is fundamental and it funds the mental. You know what I'm
There we
saying?
go.
Pay your mind. You know what I'm saying? Fund your mental.
Facts. Yo, I like that, yo. Break that one down.
Look, man, don't y'all bite that. That's a bar
Yo,
on the
that
tape. You
dude
know what I'm saying?
straight up.
I put it bag on your
Straight
head and
up.
call it fundamental. You know what I'm
Straight
saying?
up.
Like
There you
whatever
go.
though.
Give them the bar right
You know
now
what I'm saying?
so they know where they get it from.
Yeah, man.
Look, man. Thank you, yo.
Yo, thank you for having me. I'm glad we got to do this. I would love to come back.
Yeah, man.
You know, like if you get maybe like more producer and we do a roundtable or something one day,
Yeah,
or
bro.
even if it's just for another talk, man. You know,
Yo, like, you know what? I think that's something we definitely need to do. I would love to have like a round table discussion. I need to get some more cameras. But yo, this has been great. We definitely need to do this like just more often, even off camera, just, you know, chop it up. Thank you. And to everybody who is watching this right now on YouTube, and y'all went through the whole interview, thank you. Also make sure you like, subscribe, comment, you know what I'm saying? Let people know how you feel about just the overall conversation. Also, you see the shirt that he got on, we got merch too. So y'all
I was
go
about
ahead,
to say, oh, go ahead.
get the merch. Get the merch.
Shout out my socials real quick, man. Make sure y'all follow me.
Yes.
Instagram,
Yes.
Twitter, all of that. Nickelus F, Nickelusf. Go hit that website, weneedf.com. You know what I'm saying? We got some merch up there now. But even this year, man, keep checking back because we like stepping that merch store up crazy. Linked up with some fire super designers, man. I'm reworking the whole merch line, and we're gonna make that just as special and as unique and as important as the music and the raps are. So we focus on that, and this year, man. We growing, man. Shout out to Name Brand.
Hey man, good
Shout out
looking.
to the Producers Lounge. I'm honored to be on the Producers Lounge because
Hey,
to be
man.
low for real, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I know we wrapping it up. One last thing, you know, the sort of like being that I'm pretty much the only person that raps on my beats like 90% of the time. I still don't all the way feel like accepted by the producer community. And it's not that like I've been ostracized or anything, but you know, like I'm not all the way in the know on all the producer things. I do what I need to do to get my shit off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But like I don't know that other producers look at me as a producer or you know what I'm saying? Like give me that, you know what I'm saying? Or I'm not gonna say respect me. I think people respect me, but at the same time, like I don't know if they look at me like as a real producer. I really don't care. Right. But
well, I mean, I think that was really one of the reasons why I wanted you on the show. One, I respect you as a producer. Like I know I've worked with you, I've collabed with you. I know that how you approach music. I think you have a unique approach to it, especially an approach that a lot of producers, strictly only producers and beat makers, don't have because you do rap. So, you know what I'm saying? And you're one of the best to do it. You know what I'm saying? As far as, you know, rapping is concerned, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, why wouldn't I have somebody who can really speak to both sides of it as, you know, and you do both at such a high level, in my opinion, to where it's like, yo, like you provide a whole different insight. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, I know the people who we, you know, knowing your audience, you know what I'm saying? Like understanding my audience. Like I know the people who are gonna be looking at this it's gonna be people who are gonna look at this because they see, oh shit, it's Nickelus F, one of my favorite rappers. Okay, boom. Why is he on this producer show? And then they get to catch that insight, you know, about that other element of you that they can appreciate even more. Like, God damn, I'm even more of a fan of this dude because he fucking.
I think a lot of people don't realize that I produce my own stuff.
And
people always ask me who did this beat, who did. I'm like, yo, you
me.
still haven't realized yet. I'm producing. The one thing I'm trying to do this year is work with more producers though, and so I've been reaching out to people. Y'all send me beats. You feel what I'm saying? Hit me up on IG. I'll send you the email. You know
and see, the thing about it, it's like they now understand what you look for when you know, just by understanding your process, how you make beats and understanding, you know, how you like your beats to be open. It's like you're giving people the blueprint.
Serve me.
Yes, you've literally, if you listen to this
me a plate, man.
whole interview and you're producer and you want to work with Nickelus F, he literally gave you the blueprint on how to send him beats.
Yeah, like, man. Serve me a plate, man.
So this should be very valuable to everybody who's watching this. So again, thank you all. I truly appreciate y'all. You know what I mean? Love is love. Peace, peace, peace.
Love is always love.
My man. My man.